smart speaker. Ask the speaker to play the Infinity Sports Network. We've had a very busy day in the world of sports, and we've talked about it all. First of all, thank you so much. Former Major League Baseball and what a current relationship with Pete Rose. His dad played.
All right, you tuned in to HBCU Coach's Corner, and I am your host, Rocky Miller, along with my co-host, none other than the Rattler himself, Coach Campbell.
Let's get it.
Cole is going to join us a little later in the show. He had an engagement he had to take care of, but he's going to join us here a little later. I want to make sure everybody can hear us. You hear me just fine, Coach Campbell?
Man, I can hear you plain as day, man. Like I say, very clear.
Was a huge weekend in HBCU sports. We had some big games, man, and I can't really wait to get into it. But before we get into all that, man, how you doing, Coach Campbell?
Listen, man, this has been a great week. I'm super excited, man. You know, there's been a narrative, fam. You hadn't won in a month. We ain't played no football, but, man, it's football time now. And these next two games for Florida A&M is going to determine if we're going to be champions once again. So we go down to Alabama State and Montgomery. And our friend of the show, Eddie Robinson, I wish him well, but I'm sorry I can't wish him well on Saturday. We're going to go down there and handle business and take a day off or so and take a week off and then get ready for those JSU Tigers. So we're not going to look ahead, but we do know what is ahead for those family Rattlers.
Hey, speaking of that game, unfortunately, I had planned to attend, and unfortunately, I won't be able to be in attendance. But I just want you to forget, because at the Orange Blossom Classic, there was a certain gentleman that wanted to make sure that you had that Balvini's Caribbean cast on deck.
Listen, man, listen. It ain't no problem. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do, I'm glad you reminded me. I just bought a new Escalade. I'm going to put it in the back. I'm going to have it chill because I'm going to pop it in front of him. So that's what I'm going to do. So he just makes sure that he just refund me my money. I'm going to have the receipt ready, Cash App, credit, Zelle, PayPal, checks. I even take checks. We got a bank account. We got a bank account over here. So we banking. So it doesn't make a difference. But if he got confident.
Yeah, hey, for those out there where there was a certain official for Florida A&M that had made a friendly wager.
No, Alabama State. Alabama State.
I'm sorry. Alabama State. They made a friendly wager with Coach Campbell when we took a visit down to Montgomery for the spring game. He was very confident coming in, even going into the spring game, that Alabama State's fortunes would be, everything would go quite well for Alabama State. And unfortunately, due to the injury of Andrew Body, I think some of those expectations and some of those fortunes have changed over there at Alabama State, though they're off to a pretty good season. They took care of business on Saturday, and we'll talk about that, beating the Bethune-Cookman team. And up to this point, I think this will be the biggest test coming up this weekend.
Well, that's the thing about it, and it's going to be the biggest test for both teams, honestly, because of what the stakes are. I think FAMU, when you look at, it was funny, and I started looking at who people had played, and people were talking about FAMU winning barely. I heard so many people barely winning. But if you just look in the SWAC, we played a South Carolina State team that looks like it's pretty good. Played them. We played the University of Miami, who might have the Heisman Trophy winner. We played a Troy team, and we played Norfolk. I will put up our schedule against anybody in the SWAC. And for us to go what we did, I feel we played well against Miami. We definitely played well against Troy. We need to score points. But I think that this team has, in their 4 games, they didn't have a D2 school. They didn't have the barrel of a conference school. So, I think we're excited and we're ready to play.
Hey, Lionel, hold on tight. Coach Cole had a previous engagement. I'm going to tell you the kind of guy Coach Cole is, man. Let me just tell you. There's a gentleman that had requested an interview, at the same time that our show is going on. And Coach Cole said, Rock, y'all go ahead and start the show. He said, but this man helped me out when I didn't have nothing. He said, so even though there's a conflict, I'm going to go ahead and go on this show for 15, 20 minutes, do the hit, and I'll be over with us. Because it's more important that I pay him back for what he's done for me than, I'll be here on time. He said, I got confidence you guys can hold it down until I get back. And that's the kind of guy he is, that he went and did that interview for his friend and someone who helped him out. Frankly, when Coach Cole said he was really needing a helping hand. So, just a stand-up guy, man. And again, he'll be here. Don't worry. He's coming. He gonna join us. And so those of y'all waiting on Coach Cole, we're gonna have to do for right now. We're gonna be the stand-ins for right now, but Coach Cole is gonna be here. But go ahead. And this is what I wanted to mention to you, Ms. Campbell. Does those wins against, now to me, the win against South Carolina State still looks really good to me. Still looks really good. Does Alabama State's win against, Florida A&M's win against Norfolk, does that look different?
Well, I think what you get is you play who's in front of you. I think, again, it goes back to my point. Would you rather play Norfolk or would you rather play Georgetown, Kentucky? So does that win look good for the team that played Georgetown, Kentucky? Or does it look good for? So you're going to have, in the schedule, you're not going to have 12 heavyweights. You're going to have lulls up and down. We scheduled Norfolk State. They had the most all-conference players in the MEAC. They have not executed. I think they should be a better team. But like I say, it was the first game. So any win is a good win. Any win is a good win. So for me, again, I've said this once, I said it 1,000 times. People, schedules and all that, you play to win the games. And Coach Maynard, who does not do a good job of this, said we play to win SWAC games. Coach Coles is here to win SWAC games. If he wins SWAC games, guess what? We have a home game for the championship, which brings in revenue. Then if we win that game, we go to the Celebration Bowl, which brings in revenue. So my thing is the eye is still on the prize. You learn from those games. I think the coaches understand for FAMU's sake, hey, we got to stop the run. We got to be in position. I think we had a blessing in the skies, even though I think playing is always great. But I tell you what, for our two biggest games, literally we have a bye week against Alabama State where everybody can get healthy. And then we got a bye week before Jackson State. That is, to me, is going to be huge for this team. I think that is going to be a really, 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 really big deal for us to be able to get rested, for them to practice even more, to look at tape and be ready to function and play that game on Saturday. Because that game on Saturday is going to, I'm going to give Alabama State credit. Their season is not over. And they showed that my dark horse, Bethune-Cookman, who look like they just dark, because they ain't got no horses down there, clearly. Haven't won a game. They went down there. I was really shocked the way they dominated their game. And that, again, to run for 300 yards, and like I said, we'll get into it as we break these games down. But again, schedules, again, it's early. It's the first month of the season. You know what I mean? So you play your 4 games. Everybody, like I said, and again, fortunately for Jackson State, they don't have to play money games. But everybody had to play their money games to balance the books. Jackson State played their flip money game, lane, to balance their books. So again, everybody's schedule is what it is, So nobody can raise their hand. Look at who we played. I think everybody's schedule is pretty much balanced out. And the great thing about it, now we are 100% in the SWAC play, so it ain't gonna be no hiding anymore.
Oh yeah. I wanted to first off, I want to do 2 things. One, we've opened up the phone line, so those of y'all who want to call in and talk mess about y'all results this week, y'all can go ahead and call in. Coach Cole's not here. While Coach Cole's not here, while the cat's away, the mic's gonna play. So if y'all want to go ahead, call in and get your calls on, you can go ahead and do that right now.
Rocky, hold on one second. I need Lionel. I need you to call in. I need you to be the first call. because I need to understand what this Prairie View A&M team is, and I also need to understand the quarterback situation. And shout out to my boy Lionel, my nephew Lionel. This is a young brother. I have never met him personally, but just from afar, the brother loves his school. Clearly must be a good father. Got a little baby daughter he just had. This is what I love about this HBCU community. I see a brother from afar, and I just have so admiration for this young brother. I think he's going to be great. He's doing a great job. He's got a little podcast over there with him and Coach over there. PV versus everybody. So I just want to uplift everybody, because for me, we have so much negativity. For y'all millennials and Gen Z, y'all the ones doing that foolishness. But from us old school Gen Xers, this is what the thing is all about. So I just want to give a shout out to that young brother. Man, I love what that brother's doing.
And that's tremendous. You know, I want to also mention this. Since we're keeping it positive, man, I had the opportunity to go out and experience the State Fair Classic this weekend. And though I've been before, this time I went with a certain reverence and with a bird's eye view as almost an insider. I'm not an insider. I'm not saying I'm an insider.
No, you're an insider now, man. You in it now. People know your name.
I feel like an insider.
Mm-hmm.
And so going to the game and it's being something that I'm a part of, I got a completely different experience and a completely different feeling about the game. Sure, it was a football game. Sure, it was a competition and a sport. But I'm beginning to understand what being together at a game really means for the people. I'm understanding what that feeling is like, of why it sometimes feel like a family reunion, a football game in the middle of a family reunion. Why it sometimes feels like a football game going on in the middle of a party. Now, again, sometimes that's annoying to us true football fans, but you can't deny the camaraderie and the togetherness that you feel in those spaces, man. It's tremendous, Mr. Campbell, and it's something that, you know, last Saturday, I got an opportunity to experience it, and I really felt like I was part of something really special. And I understand why HBCU grads and HBCU alumni are so committed to the pageantry, the history, and just the being together aspect of those events.
That sounds like my phone in the back when the white man called for Mike Reed. Shout out to my nephew Mike Reed and them chicken wings that he gonna spend tomorrow. That sounds like the phone in the back. But you know, Rocky, I'm gonna tell you something. I think everybody that listens to this show, they're proud of their schools. But what I'm gonna say as a football fan is that what I'm hoping is, because you know what's crazy about this, Rocky, what you just said? Think about if you're in a stadium with 60,000 people and you watching Jerry Rice, Ike Holt, and Willie Totten, and you're seeing the GOAT play, or you're seeing Walter Payton, or you're seeing Michael Strahan, or Aeneas Williams, or John Stallworth, or I could go on and on and on. So what I hope, and again, I know it's a long way up. The money has come in. We already know we got people quitting schools because they didn't get paid. But what I do hope is, and I challenge our coaches, is to develop the players that are coming, to raise the level of football. So not only is a family reunion, but also we enjoy the football game. That we can see good football, hard-hitting football, and we love it. Because that's the thing, again, I'm always going to say, I grew up seeing all these NFL players. Not on just one team. Everybody's team had at least one guy that, you know, he's going to the league. And that's what was so exciting during that time. And then you got to see, again, at one of the times, to watch Steve Air McNair, his last game in that vet. And you got almost 60,000 people there. And this guy is in the race for the Heisman. Should have won it. Should have won it, to be honest with you. Get drafted third. So, again, you had all this company, Jackson State, Alcorn, and all these people. And you were seeing this outstanding player, a generational player. So all I'm hoping now is that, again, we keep recruiting, that the kids that say, hey, you know what? These Power 5 schools are not for us. We want to play, and that we can develop those diamonds in the rough. I'm really hoping that that's our next journey to get. Look at a Marquise Bell. Look at a Xavier Smith. Look at these guys. A Darius Leonard before that was the highest paid linebacker at one time. Can we get those guys and start building that groundswell where we can develop those guys? So again, the next generation can say, you know what, I can go to South Carolina State, I can go to FAMU, I can go to Southern, I can go to Jackson State, I can go to Prairie View and become a dominant player. So that's what I'm really hopeful. But I'm glad you got a chance. State Fair Class again is one of our crown jewel games. Again, Grambling and Prairie View. And again, I've heard so much about it. I have not. Well, maybe I went when Grambling was rolling. I might have went down to the Dallas. Now I'm thinking about it. But overall, that is something that I would like to get back to. And also, again, when we were talking about Al Walsh, the history of what that game did, just to integrate the city of Dallas. You know, again, those things mean something to me. So when we're not just going to school, we are leaders in the community. Again, we have a debate going on right now. You got to understand something. The person at the top of one of these tickets went to an HBCU. That says how great our education is. So, yeah, Rocky, so we get you straight. I get people, when you go off on your PDF, I get the text, I get the Facebook messages, but hey, everybody knows that you're a great guy. And you're a smart guy because you sent your daughter to Prairie View A&M University. Let me say it right. Because the people from PVAMU said, Mr. Campbell, it's either PV or PVAMU. So let me say that. So you're already a smart man, and she's going to be a great, great part of this HBCU family.
Hey, thank you for that, Mr. Campbell. Hey, we got a caller, 8310. You're live on the air with HBCU Coaches Corner. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, this is Lionel. My mama told me to respect my elders, so called in. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hey, your mama taught you well, man.
Lionel, nephew, listen. Okay, listen. Now everybody knows that this is one of my favorite new nephews. He had Rocky. I don't know if you know. Lionel already has the shirts, swag champions already made.
Yeah, I know that.
Now, and Lionel, when they lost the first game, I went over there on his show and listened to, I think I called, and he said, Mr. Campbell, the story has to be told a certain way. It can't be perfect. It's got to have, a great story has to have, the antagonist has to go through, issues and things like this. Now, Lionel, I want you to really, because I watched a lot of that game, but I was back and forth. But I need for you to break down that game, especially when the quarterback switch was made, why the quarterback switch was made. And I want to make sure I understand that. And how did you all win that game in 5 overtimes?
Yeah, man. Bubba made an executive decision.
Can you speak up a little bit, Lana?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, Coach Bubba made an executive decision, right? And even listening to him on a coaching call, I also heard him on one of the other TV stations, right, talking with one of the guys, and just hearing kind of what he said kind of happened to transpire this game between at halftime going into the second half. Honestly, it just brings a lot of questions for me, really, because I was even wanting to ask Coach Cole a question just on, how does a head coach typically manage things, right? But essentially, it sounded like he made his decision. Hey, there's certain guys that's not playing. Like, I need to see them on the field, right? You got a rotation at running back. I don't care about your rotation at running back, right? I need this guy in the game, right? So it sounded like Coach Bubba just basically, put his hat down and said, this is what it's going to be. And guys finally got rolling, right? So I think the switch needed to be made at quarterback. It was obviously a good switch to make at the time. I think one thing Johnson has is his legs help a lot. And I feel like even seeing him, I'm like, okay, his legs actually help this offense a little bit more, because what I've said, even when you came on, when we talk about the Texas Southern game, I'm like, man, Texas Southern did not care about the RPO action. They didn't care nothing about no play action at all, right? They just pinned their ears back and we getting after the quarterback, right? So they never respected the RPO action. But with Johnson, you can see how he did affect the game in the second half, with him being able to move around in the pocket, with him being able to scramble right, and them even being able to use his legs on some actual QB run calls, right? And then the defense just stiffened up, right? Which my contention has always been the defense plays well enough for us to stay in games and for us to have a chance to win games. The offense has been what our issue has been this year, and it was the same thing with last year, right? So, but they played and they got it done. And even though you wish they would have got it done in regulation, I at least could say, this year I'm seeing them actually close out some games that I think before they would have lost. Same thing with the Northwestern game. I definitely think they would have lost that game if this was previous year. And even with this Grambling game, right? I think they would have definitely lost that game, right? So, wish they could have got it done against Southern in the same way because we're having a completely different conversation, but we are where we are, right? You know what I'm saying? So,
Rocky, let me follow with Lionel because Lionel, you said something, and I heard the same. So, what Lionel's referencing, they have a SWAC coaches conference call every Monday that talks about the previous game and the game going forward. And I was listening, and when I heard Coach McDowell say exactly what you said, that he went to his coaches and say, "Listen, we're not playing the right guys. We need to play these guys." That kind of threw me off because
threw me off. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that kind of because, and again, it's funny that you said that because we Rocky and we hear this term a lot of times, CEO coach, right? Or then you have a coach like Willie Simmons, who's a play caller, T.C. Taylor, who's a play caller. You know what I mean? And things like that. You got other coaches that are defensive type coaches that actually call play. But when I heard that, and so what concerned me a lot, I want to ask your question. Do you think maybe that he had too much trust in his coordinators, and maybe that might have cost you the Southern game? You know what I mean? Because he said, "Hey, we weren't playing the right guys," or does that kind of concern you? Now going forward, he said, "I got to get in here in these rooms and say who's playing. I want this guy to play."
I mean, how can it do anything but concern you? I feel like that's really the question, right? You know what I'm saying? Because for me, and this is really when Coach Cole come on, I would really like y'all asking this question. Because now I'm like, how much power does a head coach give his positional coaches? Not even the OC or the DC, right? But how much power does a head coach typically give positional coaches, you know what I'm saying, and how they operate and who plays, et cetera, et cetera? Because, go ahead.
No, Lionel, I wanted to ask you this here, Lionel. Did I hear him right when he said, this is what I heard him say, bump whatever rotation you got going on. These are the guys that need to play.
Right.
That's what.
Right.
See, and that's to me. That sound like initially I think the conversation was about the quarterback switch, right? But to me he extended the conversation to more than just the quarterback. Is what I heard.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And on the other show, right, like not on the coach's call, but on the other show, right, he went in more detail, right? So he had a conversation with the running backs coach, right, specifically about like, hey, that's the one he specifically like, hey, forget the rotation. Like, I want to see this guy, right? You know what I'm saying? To give us a spark. Same thing with the QB, same thing with the secondary, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I want these two guys in because I feel like I can trust them, right? I mean, I guess for me, I'm almost like, we 4 games in now, though, right? You know what I mean? I feel like there's some guys I feel like I think you could trust this guy over that guy, and I think most people would see that. A lot of people would, at least, right?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I'm not a coach, though, right? You know
but let me just say this.
I'm like, how much power does a positional coach have? You know what I'm saying? Versus that's the head guy. I guess, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we definitely have to get Coach Cole on to answer that. But I want to ask you this here, Lionel, But some things about the quarterback switch made sense to me based on our interview that we had with Coach Bubba McDowell. We had him, just before the first game, right? This guy was literally glowing when we asked him about his quarterback situation. He was like illuminating. You probably saw the interview. There was no hesitation. Yes. There was no. He said, "We good in that position. We got 3 guys that can get the job done. We just have to decide on one guy." And were you surprised initially for y'all to struggle at the quarterback position, considering how confident Coach McDowell was when he answers that question about who's his quarterback going to be?
So I definitely was. I think my contention was more the struggle because of the fact that I thought the scheme would be able to help mitigate whatever the issues that you had with, the quarterbacks, that the scheme would be able to help to mitigate some of that, right? And I feel like this past game, right, we were able to see that done.
Yeah, hey, and also if we got some coaches that want to call in and answer that question that Lionel has about how much does a head coach trust his position coach, we're gonna ask Coach Cole that question when he gets on, but that's a great question because it seems like Bubba McDowell had all the confidence in the world in his position coaches. However, the results on the field didn't meet the expectations he had. Like, that's really what I got out of it.
Right.
But he was happy.
And I was gonna
go ahead.
And I was gonna say this past game, right? What you saw, if you look at the second half, right? What you saw, really, starting at the beginning of the game, right? You saw there was a lot of use of the short passing game, right? Screen game, etc. To me, that's what I was like. I thought we would see a lot more of that early on, right? You know what I'm saying? Especially if you feel like the offensive line isn't as, it's having a little bit more trouble, etc. Right? You know what I mean? That can help to settle the guys down, or whoever's going to be playing that role. You know what I mean? Because in the day, it's like, man, we got playmakers. Just get the ball in playmakers' hands and let them make plays. And that's what happened in the second half of the game. I just don't know. It's like, man, it's like now at the end of the day, you're behind the 8-ball, right? You're behind 2 8-balls at this point, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, and he mentioned it about the Texas Southern game about making the switch earlier, even the same thing about the Southern game. And so it's like, you happy that you make the decision, right? But it's like, man, what if you'd have made the decision in the first quarter instead of waiting to halftime, right? In the first situation, right? Or what if you'd have made that decision at halftime of the Southern game, right? When you felt like making a decision. And that's kind of the thing, right? Is you hate to see it's like, man, this is after 2 times of not pulling the trigger. Yeah, we pull the trigger here and it works, but man, we 2 down now at this point, right? So it definitely hurts. You know
I think I'm gonna be honest. The best thing you guys got going is that you're in the West, right? That's the best thing you got going, but y'all have a win against the only team that doesn't play FAMU, and so I think that's a positive, because I think the teams that do play FAMU, other than y'all, could be in for a loss, So I think the West is wide open. I honestly think it's wide open. I think probably in 2 weeks you'll find that you guys are right in the thick of things if you guys continue along the path that you're going. But at the end of the day, you definitely would have liked to have won the game. But I think the reason why Bubba McDowell stepped in this game, what made that game different than the other games, is that, one, you hadn't already lost 2 SWAC games, right? And the other deal is this game was on the verge of slipping away from you guys. Like, this game was about to get away from y'all.
Right.
And he threw caution to the wind and made a switch, and it worked out, man. Like I say, it was a very exciting game. Did you go to the game, Lionel?
No, I didn't make it to Dallas, so I was still in Houston for this game.
Oh man, it was an exciting game. It was a tremendous crowd. It was packed on both the PV and the Grambling side. It was just an overall tremendous environment, man. And so I was happy to be there and witness it. It was a rather grueling game, though, man. Even to watch, it was a grind.
It was a grind.
It was a grind. A lot of people will say, I'm not in a position to critique the coaching, because I think there's poor coaching on, all levels. The thing that I want to say is that the execution was shady. Like, that's my whole deal. Like if penalties, fumbles, missed open wide receivers. To me, the execution was more an issue than just the sheer coaching. But maybe the execution is the coach's responsibility. So depends on how you look at it.
I guess.
Rock, I'm gonna make one quick point though about how the schedule works and against people. So here's the funny thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
PV doesn't have to play Jack State, but they have to play us. Southern played Jack State, but it wasn't a conference game. They have to play us. The teams, again, Grambling played Jack State. They don't have to play us. Didn't game account. But you know who's really screwed out of all this? Is Texas Southern, because they played Jackson State, lost, and they have to play us for homecoming, which will be a loss. So they are really screwed. They are really screwed. So while everybody else either like Grambling dodges Jackson State and FAMU, or Southern gets the 50-50, you know what I mean? That's how, again, that people understand that cross matchup definitely with how it rotates in, rotates out, makes such a big difference. Again, how this race is going to play out in the West and everything.
But like Grambling has Grambling has an ideal schedule by dodging FAMU,
Great schedule, yeah,
and dodging Jackson State, but they do have to play Alabama State. So that's not going to be a walk in the park. And again, they do have to play the Bayou Classic, and I think you can throw the records out the window on that game. So I would expect them to Grambling, because unless they improve dramatically, I don't see how they can't end up with at least 2 losses in the SWAC play. That's just my opinion. Now the team that that could surprise us all by winning it, if they win the West, is Southern. If Southern somehow figure out a way to win the West, I'll be completely surprised.
This is the thing, and I've got a bet to one of my Southern nephews that they were not going to be in the SWAC championship game. I made that bet, and I stood on it. But I'm going to tell you something. Southern is in a really good position. And I think that was David Jackson, and he says back in the old days how the West could be decided, or actually in some instances before there were divisions, the SWAC itself being decided by the Bayou Classic. So Southern, again, we're going to see as they go along. I think there are some questions that they need to answer on offense. I think their defense is enough to beat teams, but I think offense they're still going to be worried about. But I will say this, and again, not to shift gears, but I do want to make this point right. This is something I guess we could transition to. I have watched this 4 weeks, and I will say this, and this I have no problem saying this. The best team playing in SWAC is Jackson State. Jackson State got 3 running backs that go hit their head on the goalpost. And that right there, I will say, makes them the scariest team. Not passing wise, they don't scare me because I think they're not a passing team, which is not a problem because all they do is just run streaks and screen. They don't have a route tree type combination type offense, and that's fine. But when you got guys that you can pitch that ball to and go 75-80 or go 25-15, 25, and all of a sudden you're in the red zone, I'm just saying, from what I have seen, and I'm glad that TC understood that Jacoby Morgan was the best quarterback for that team, is that I'm going to be really interested in watching what they do to Alabama A&M because they made a statement against Texas, which I told everybody. One thing about if you know Jackson State, they usually don't play down to their competition. That's just not how that traditionally. If they're going to lose a game, that Grambling game, that's the type of game they're going to lose because it's Grambling. Grambling, that G means something down there at home. But Jackson State usually don't lose off games. That's not how they work. They play up to their competition. So I think they're going to go down again, and we'll break these games down. But just to kind of put that out there, I think they're going to go down to Mobile and put a whooping on A&M because I think they want to show something and get ready for FAMU.
Hey, Coach, we may well go ahead and get to our recap wherever
All
Coach
right, let's go.
join us is where he joined us. These are games that I kept my eye on, but honestly, the only one that I got a chance to really look at any point was South Carolina State. What did you think of the Morgan Stony Brook result?
Well, this is once again, Morgan State just can't find any offense. I took a peep in at this game, took a look at it while other games was going on, and again, you just don't see any offense from this team. So again, I think we all picked Stony Brook, if I remember correctly, to win this game, and they did. So I think that's one of those things, and just really quick because I like I said, I know, but to break it down, but again, just kind of quick, just to kind of talk about some of what Morgan did. Deuce Taylor, 70 yards, 11 for 17, 70 yards, no touchdowns. They brought Dominique Anthony in, did 5 for 5, 113 yards. They ran for 146 yards. But Stony Brook threw for 140, and ran for 287 yards, with Roland Dempster going for 25 carries for 158 yards, and Johnny Martin backing him up with 15 carries for 90 yards. That's how you win a football game. That's how you win a football game. And they really just dominated this game. Again, you can score says it all. They dominated this game from beginning to end.
Absolutely. We go over to this game. I think this game surprised us all because I know I took Charleston Southern. You guys took Charleston Southern as well, if I'm not mistaken. But
That's
somehow
true.
Tennessee State, hung on. And I think Charleston Southern is winless at this point. So maybe we
they've won one. They've won one.
They've won one. Okay.
They're 1-3 and 0-1 because that was their first loss in the Big South OVC.
Okay. But Tennessee State is 1-1 in the Big South OVC. So
they are. But see, once again, Tennessee State, you would think with Eddie George, you would think that some of the people that he's hired on his staff, once again, they still just struggle offensively. Once again, like I say, looking at it now, Draylon Ellis, 12 for 24, 105 yards, 4 yards passing per attempt, 1 touchdown. They ran for 100 yards. Jordan Gamp, 5 carries, 40 yards. TJ Evans, 8 carries, 31 yards. So clearly there's no bell cow they could just pitch the ball to. On the Charleston Southern side, Caleb Jackson went 4 for 12 for 90 yards. And Atavius Isom ran for 33 carries, 157 yards. But no touchdowns. No touchdowns. So once again, you're looking at a team that this game probably was a defensive struggle, as you can see, and also it looks like some offensive ineptitude. But hey, Tennessee State gets the win, and they move on. But once again, I'm going to say this again. I just think that Tennessee State, until they find a home in the MEAC or the SWAC, I just don't think they're ever going to get their mojo back. You got to understand something. This is a team historically, and somebody made a post. Dave from A&T was making a post about national championships. Tennessee State is tied with FAMU for the most black college national championships. The last 2 they won was Coach Colin that was down there and stuff. So Tennessee State, as far as tradition, putting players in the NFL, this is a prideful HBCU football program. And I just think they have never just found their way, in that conference. And again, I just think it does not help them at all.
Well, let me say this, and before we're gonna address that conference situation here, but before we do that, I think the Howard game went as we expected it would. Princeton won. Princeton was in control of the game the entire time, and so I didn't think it was much of a
the smart white guys beat the smart black guys. That just kind of hurts there. But yeah, Princeton. But like I said, we kind of expected that to have. We all picked Princeton and everything. But again, as a fan, I want to win these games. I want, because again, just for the stature of Howard, again, and what they bring to the table, I think it will be excellent. Playing Princeton, Howard, Princeton, you know what I'm saying? They call Howard part of the Black Ivy. Princeton is an Ivy League school. We would like to get that W. So again, when we're playing those, and I understand why they schedule the game. I think that's great for their political aspirations of how they move around at Howard. But again, you got to try to win that game. You got to try to win the game, and it hurts that they lost that.
Now this game right here, North Carolina A&T and South Carolina State, this was a game that was really on a lot of people's radar. Even though people really didn't give A&T much of a chance to win, they wanted to see how would they bounce back from that beatdown they took from North Carolina Central. And from the looks of it, though they were competitive early, they eventually took another beatdown.
I had like 5 screens up. But this was one of those games that, as they say, didn't mean anything, but meant something. I wanted to make sure because, again, we have this beautiful HBCU community, and everybody knows Dave. He's over there with Josh Tell's HBCU Night. But everybody knows Troy, one of the biggest mouths from North Carolina A&T. Proud alumnus, talking about. And you know what, Rocky? He coined a term. He said, we are over here. We'll lose to the whites, but we'll beat the blacks. That's what Troy said. But clearly, North Carolina A&T still can't beat the blacks because they got the black beat off of them by South Carolina State. And when I say, and for me, who actually played South Carolina State, makes FAMU look better. So once again, South Carolina State does dominate this game, man. And you could just see, this game was close early, but you just saw when this game and South Carolina State got it going, because I think it was 10-10 going into the half, but then they won.
South Carolina had wasn't it 17-10 at one point? Or
Yeah.
16-10, if I'm not mistaken. I can't think.
Yep.
A&T had a lead briefly.
And then South Carolina State basically went on like a 35-0 run to close the game out. And I mean, and let's talk about, listen, can we talk about, and we talked to Chinsbury about this, all those all-conference players, D2 all-conference players, they brought up to play at South Carolina State. Let's talk about Eric Phoenix, 22 of 33, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, 11 yards an attempt. You had Duhart, which is another preseason all-conference player, 21 carries, 90 yards. Kazaris Adams, 7 carries, 57 yards, a touchdown. Again, and Caden Hyde, their wide receiver, another guy, 8 catches, 152 yards. I mean, man, listen, these guys had this thing humming, and I'm just trying to tell you, A&T, one dog whooped another dog. One dog was a pedigree, and one dog was a mutt after this game was over. There was no doubt about it. And like I say, I got to say one thing. So if they can't beat the blacks, they can't beat the whites, what other ethnic group can they play? Can they play the Hispanics? I mean, because clearly it's not working. It is not working. And this goes back to a thing that as high as A&T was riding, just as the Celebration Bowl era, because that was the new era, and as high there to see as low that they have fallen is really disappointing. But I don't see any hope for A&T, to be honest.
Let me ask you this: in the HBCU space, right? Is it appropriate for people to start looking for replacements for Coach Brown?
I think if let's just take the HBCU space out, okay? Let's just talk about this football team. They won one game last year. They're on track to only win probably one game this year. They beat Winston-Salem State. Okay? Think about that for a second. They beat Winston-Salem and barely won that game. Should have lost that game. If you look at their schedule, where are the wins going to come? So if this was any team, FAMU, Jackson State, Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, what do you think would happen?
They'd be looking for a coach.
They'd be looking for a coach. So it had nothing to do with HBCUs at all. It has to do.
Let me ask you this here. Considering things aren't usually done in a timely manner as far as the last 5 years, I just put it like that. Since I've been watching HBCU football, they've been kind of slow to move on everything, right? Shouldn't the administration at North Carolina A&T start get that process revved up now and start evaluating coaches throughout the HBCU landscape? And let me just ask you this. That brings us to a team that's in your city that's having a historic season 4 games in. Like, I ain't never heard of nobody having a historic season 4 games in. And we can
and
stop.
What was called? Were they 0-11 last year? What was it? Were they 0-11?
Yeah.
Think about that with Coach Keaton. Again, not to just, but I wanted to set your framing up what you're saying. 4-0 and beat Bethune-Cookman. Think about that. So go ahead, Rocky, please.
So what I'm saying is, if A&T gets ahead of this thing, a school like A&T could get the first shot at Coach Keaton, the first bite at the apple. And would that be something he would consider? No one knows. I'm just saying, but when a guy's having a historic season 4 games in, another historic program is having a historic season of another caliber. Should they be looking for those coaches in those Division II levels to help elevate their program?
Now, okay. So here's my joke to the people. Like I say, my family is from my father's side of the family is from North Carolina. I have a billion cousins that went to North Carolina A&T. So this is my joke, but a real shot at A&T. you can't brag about how great your school is and you got all these great alums and you're better than FAMU and Wall Street Journal said you're better than FAMU, but then in the chat, well, we ain't got no money to buy them out. When FAMU had to try to get Say Willie, we raised $150,000 cash money in less than 12 hours because we wanted our guy. So I'm going to challenge those people from A&T. Don't tell me that you don't have the money. I'm tired, and I need, listen, all you folks, because I know y'all. Y'all go to these games, got these Mercedes-Benz, got these RVs, got these nice houses, good job. Stop saying that y'all broke. Stop lying to these people. Y'all ain't broke. Because ain't none of my classmates are broke. Ain't none of my classmates that went to Jack State broke. All of them are living a good life because they went to Jack State, they went to FAMU, they went to Morehouse, they went to Southern, they went to Graham. So I'm going to stop telling that lie, okay? We have the ability if we want to. So I will say, you, Rocky, think about this, what you just said. I would raise that money because they got big money alums at A&T. And you know what you get? You also get the best quarterback in the SWAC. I mean, in the
SIAC.
In the SIAC. So that's a package deal that you get. So to me, I think those guys need to stop talking about we ain't got money, we can't buy them out. Man, stop it. Because you are North Carolina, you are the largest HBCU. You have grads that make six figures, a lot of them, not a little bit. You brag about you better than FAMU, so I'm gonna call you on it. What either you're a chump or you're not. Either you got money or you don't. Because I'm telling you, if that was FAMU, guess what? That money would be raised. So if you want to be like FAMU, be like FAMU. If not, then just be quiet.
Let me ask you this. And this is hypothetical, guys. Hypothetical. Because you brought up something that's very that with so many teams in the SWAC struggling at quarterback, y'all can say what y'all want to, you complain to your mama, but that's the reality. A lot of teams either have a 2-quarterback system, which in my opinion, that means you're struggling at quarterback, right? Where would a guy like David Wright rank in the SWAC if he were playing in the SWAC?
Hey, man, listen. I tell you what. What do you think if David let's do it even better than this. Put David Wright on Prairie View's team. What do you think they look like?
Wow. To Savage and that other wide receiver?
Thank you. Put David Wright on Southern's team. What do you think they look like?
Wow.
Put David Wright on the preseason West champion Alcorn. What do you think they look like? So these are the things that quarterback play immediately elevates your team when you have pieces, especially like a team like Prairie View, that you can see pieces. So when you sit back and looking at it, unfortunately, Alabama State quarterbacks got hurt. But there's only 2 teams that you can sit back in the SWAC and say, you know what, when they go to sleep at night, they feel good. That's FAMU and Jack State about their quarterback situation. Everybody else, David Wright is better than them. Everybody else. So that's the thing about it. So if you're looking at that, so that's the thing about it. And I'll tell you this too. And this is where the NIL money comes into play. Hell, he might not even be at HBCU next year. Look at Cam Ward. Goes from Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami. You gonna tell me that PWIs are not seeing what this kid Wright is doing, and they'll give him $5,000 a month, $3,000 a month to come play, and he's playing as I like to call those directional schools. He'll play at something Northwest something state. So that's the thing about it. So again, and the fact that we're talking about this like this is an NFL free agency. That's what, that honestly is what's disappointing about this conversation. Because the kid is at Clark. We don't know the kid. The kid could love Clark. Clark is an amazing school. He's going to get an amazing education. And we're talking about this kid like he's a free agent that we all know is probably not going to be at Clark next year. And that's disappointing. But no, if I'm North Carolina A&T and again, I hear that, but I'm sorry. I just think when you got that big of a school, and North Carolina A&T is the largest HBCU in the country. And for you to let football fall, hey man, I'm making moves. I'm sorry. I'm making moves.
Hey, somebody say they smoking that Rattler pack this week.
Man, listen. Listen. this is what's going to be kind of fun about this show. Wait a minute, let's go to. We want to go to the other scores real quick before we get to that.
Hey, they got enough time. I just thought I'd put that up on.
Yeah. We got plenty. We got plenty of time for that. We got plenty of time for that.
So, hey, guys. Again, that's a call-in number. If you like to call in, make a contribution to the show, you got something you want to say at any point, you can call in and we'll answer your call. But anyway, the Delaware State Campbell game, it turned out. Matter of fact, I got the scores wrong. Man, I made a mistake. I make mistakes every now and then. But it ends up being 44-41 Campbell. Very, very competitive game. I was surprised that Delaware State could put up that much offense. But Campbell ended up getting them at the end. But I'm really impressed with how Delaware State has improved from last year to this year when you talk about just sheer competitiveness.
Delaware State got to be the best one-win team in HBCUs right now. Because you got Adams that went for 12 for 23, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jaden Sutton, who ran for 20 carries, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. You had Tate, who had 3 catches for 88 yards. And they just barely lost that game. Because Chad Moscow went crazy, 18 for 26, 323 yards, 3 touchdowns. Really, and Sincere Brown, his leading receiver, 5 catches, 133 yards, and B.J. Wilkins went for 7 catches, 115 yards. So again, Campbell is one of those teams I just always hated because they were always, Campbell is going to beat the HBCUs, and Campbell has never lived up to their press clippings. You remember when they had Mike Minter as coach, they were quote unquote getting these number 1 recruiting classes, and they never won the conference.
Yeah,
they never won the conference.
They had, and also, coach, they had some good showings against some HBCUs, but then they would go play in their conference and get, demolished a lot of times. But I want to bring something up, coach, when we're talking about Campbell that makes it kind of, something that a lot of HBCU fans who followed HBCU football the last 3-4 years may remember. You remember when Jackson State played Campbell and they had this quarterback by the name of Malik Williams? Guess what?
Where he's at, right? You know where he's at, right?
What? That guy replaced Sluka, the guy from UNLV, last week. Yeah. And we remember going up into that game. He was phenomenal leading up into that game for Campbell. Matter of fact, Campbell had beat somebody really bad. Maybe it was NCCU or somebody the week before they played Jackson that year. I can't remember exactly. But Jackson had a way of dealing with quarterbacks in a very special way, and so he didn't look as well in that game against Jackson State. But you could tell he was a good quarterback. But I bring his name up for this reason. Last week, the story in college football was Sluka from UNLV, left the team because he wasn't paid his NIL money. Yeah. All of a sudden, he leaves. Malik Williams steps in. They score 59 points.
Hey, listen. Maybe those boosters do something. And see that, hey man, you're only as valuable as the people that's beside you or behind you. And you know what? We let this kid go, sayonara, and guess what? And Malik Hodge said, "Hey man, y'all give me $100 and a 2-piece, and I'm good. I'm out here in Vegas, baby." So that's one of those things.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Do you think Malik Hodge Williams went to UNLV for nothing?
Probably. They probably gave him a little something. They probably gave him the same $3,000 they gave the other kid.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe
they didn't give him $100,000. I'll tell you that.
No, I'm not saying they gave him 100, but in some cases, maybe they went to the kid and said we're going to play the other guy too. You know what I mean? Because I don't think it's a mistake that the backup quarterback goes crazy in a game against for UNLV. It wasn't like they were playing a team that wasn't a Power 5 team. They were playing not Power 5, but they were playing another Division I team, and Fresno State. That's not too shabby, and they put up 59 points against Fresno State. So, think about it. Maybe the coaches know better, know who to pay.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what it is.
So, Another game, Mr. Campbell, Alcorn State. Alcorn 42-21 against Valley. Valley's been outclassed in every game they played this year. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it's not so much as Valley. How bad is Alcorn playing to let Valley score 21 points? I think that's more of the story. Alcorn, I'm just trying to tell you, I don't know what they got going on down there. It looks like Xavier Vaughn, because I didn't know. This is one of the games. I'm sorry. This is one of those games. It was so many big games going on, and this could not. This was one of the one I was just going to do the recap because I knew they were going to win the game, and I knew the stats would probably tell the story. So let's go to the stats. Alcorn, Xavier Vaughn went 8 for 14, 105 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Sewell, the running back, 12 carries, 164 yards, 1 TD. Vaughn did 57 yards for a TD. Mississippi Valley State on the other side, Sis, 8 of 18, 98 yards, 3 interceptions. They bring Williams in. He throws for a touchdown, 1 interception. Fant and Williams, they run for a touchdown. That gives them 21 points. What's so disappointing about Alcorn is that, again, Cedric Thomas, Fred on the show, I just think they do not realize that they're in a whole world of trouble. And I think they're running out of time because now they're getting ready to get into their season. And if you just tell me, do you think they could beat Jack State? I don't think so. Do you think they could beat Prairie View? That's 50-50. And I'm going to pick Prairie View. Can they beat Grambling? I don't think they can beat Grambling. Just looking at what I see from the quarterback position. And that to me is just and this is what's so important about, again, when we're talking about David Wright, how important the quarterback position and how hard, and I think people need to understand this. We talk about HBCU quarterback, and well, HBCU quarterback has always been tough because that's why we don't have a bunch of first rounders at quarterback. All our other players are coming around. So even at this level, but even in the NFL, it's hard to find a good quarterback. So quarterbacking in general is hard to find. But with that being said, when you have a team like Alcorn and when you really are struggling at the quarterback position and you think you've got all the other pieces, and you think you got a chance to make a shot and your quarterback just can't execute, it hurts. And Mississippi Valley, people say, why doesn't Valley drop down and things like that? Well, it's a business decision. Valley makes more money just being the SWAC kid. Because if they drop down, they don't get the NCAA money for basketball that we all share. They don't get the Celebration Bowl payout that we all share. They don't get the TV money that we all share. So for them, they go down and the 30 scholarships that they save, does that balance out the money that they get overall being in the SWAC? It doesn't. So they might as well keep the scholarships they have and actually probably make more money being at this level. But it is just too hard for Mississippi Valley, again, to compete because, again, and this has been, Mississippi Valley is, again, as they say, a very low resource institute. And it was built, that school, and I think we understand, talk about mission, that school was built to have teachers in the Delta that literally couldn't get to Jackson, couldn't afford to ride the bus to Jackson, and definitely couldn't get to Alcorn. So that school was built so literally those sharecroppers could walk to college and become teachers. That's what their history is. So Valley, so to me, it's not about Valley and what they're doing. Valley, like I said, I've already said that they win when they play UAPB or whatever. That's going to be that game. But Alcorn, I think, is in a hell of a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Hey, Lionel, are you still on? Did you have something you wanted to say?
Hello, this is Chuck Hunt calling.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck.
Chuck.
Hello, you two. How are you doing? I see Coach Cole is now with you all this evening. Wherever he is, hope he's doing well. And my reason for calling, I'm not going to stay on long, but Brother Campbell, he made some great points when you were just talking about HBCU alumni that are in positions. I hear people say, "Oh, we don't have the money," but look at all these successful people. I look at a guy right here in my hometown. He owns an auto dealership right there in the D.C. area, Sterling, Virginia, right there in Scotty's area. I know he's from DMV, and his name's Thomas Moorhead.
his dealership he sells BMWs, Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, and all. He's a graduate of Graham. He's from here in Monroe. He and James Shack Harris went to the same high school here, historically black school here in Carroll High School. I think they were all there around the same time, and yeah, you have people like him, and he's donated money to Grambling as well, and he's been a success through the years. And by the way, he and Hank Aaron were friends. He spoke at Hank Aaron's funeral. See, they owned the dealership together when Hank Aaron had his BMW dealership.
BMW dealership. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And the thing about I met him at the Bayou Classic a couple of years, 2016, I believe. I met him at the Bayou Classic. I was with the alumni and everything at Grambling. And that's what I'm saying. We have tremendous and he is a big backer of Grambling. Don't get it twisted. He cuts checks for Grambling. He's not somebody that says, "Oh, I went to Grambling, forget y'all." Because I think I remember one time that, and was he not the one that arranged for them to have when Hugh did the Rolls Royce and stuff? Didn't he arrange that? Called one of the dealerships in Louisiana, had those cars there for that? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I think
that's a great question. I don't want to put the wrong.
I think he made the phone call, say, "Hey, I need y'all, in that dealer network to drop these cars." I mean, look how that worked out for you. But hey, it was a hell of a photo shoot. Cars were looking good.
Oh yeah, you're right. And you talking about those vehicles that the alumni of these HBCUs, and you talking about A&T. I went to A&T's homecoming in 2019. I saw those vehicles for myself. That was when A&T played Howard. And that was back during the MEAC days, and I got a chance to go before the pandemic, go to Greensboro, and it was just wall-to-wall black folks there in that city, and I saw those vehicles, and you're not lying, Brother Campbell.
Yeah, so no, man, I'm not, I don't, that woe is me foolishness. I'm just like, man, stop. You're not lying. For the young alums, I get it. You know what I mean? They just not getting out of school. They got them student loans.
Exactly.
But listen, so I get so my marker is 35 on down. I'm not looking for y'all to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Get your life together. But 35 on up, don't tell me that you're broke. I'm not gonna have that, because you're right there bragging about your jobs and flying all over the place and living your best life. Because like I said, if you got $100 to buy some liquor, you got $100 to get your school. Come on, man. So no, I'm not gonna have that.
Hey, you brought up something very interesting. Those young people may not have money to donate to their school, but they sure got plenty of money to buy plenty of bottles. I'll tell you that. As a matter of fact, and to me, that's the stupidest thing ever created. Why would you go in a club and pay $500 for a bottle you can go to the liquor store and get for $50? Whoever invented that, whoever convinced y'all Negroes that was cool, that was anyway. Let me just stop. Let me just stop, because I go on days and days. Like that's just stupid on a whole nother level, if you ask me. To go in the club and buy bottles, $50 bottles, a bottle of Hennessy for $500. Like that, I don't get it.
You don't get it. Hey man, but see, Rocky, listen, I'm gonna say this, Rocky, you and I are the same age. I'm gonna blame my generation, and I'm gonna blame a guy that's in jail now. Blame Puffy. Because that ghetto fabulous lifestyle that we grew up. Come on now. See, let me tell y'all something. Don't let Rocky do that. Oh man, we create. Hey man, the Moet and the champagne, that was our song. We got to take it. We got to own that. We got to own that now. Come on now. When Mary J was, and Little Kim and Big, come on now. Moet in the club. Come on, bro.
Hey, but we also was the people. We invented pre-gaming. That was our thing. Like, we get to the club already a little tipsy, Mr. Campbell. You know that.
That's true too. That's true. But I mean, I cannot let that Puff era, because like I say, hey man, I threw big parties during that time for some of the biggest people in the country. And trust me, man.
I guess you're right. People that were living on that level, it was publicized and propagated all out to the whole world, and it become. But we talking about. Yeah. I'm talking about guys that work in Foot Locker buying bottles, Coach.
Oh yeah, now listen, now hold on. I don't. This is funny, but this is what I told my kid. This is what bothers me about this generation. When we were out, this is a true story, right? So we all moved to Atlanta, right, and everything. So a lot of the guys, they went to Morehouse and they went to Hampton, they went to Fairview, So we all threw a parties all over the country, right? Alumni parties, right? So maybe about 1:30, you start seeing a certain group of people leaving. He'd be like, man, where you going, man? I gotta go to work in the morning, man. Where you working at, man? I work at AT&T. Where you working? I work at IBM. Bro, we had jobs. See, so not only did we throw the ball, we actually had a real job. Now these jokers here don't even have no real jobs. That's my problem with them. So whatever scam money that they get in credit cards, PP loans, and all that, 8, 9 people in the apartment. So they all go to the club, and then when you ask them, do they have a job, they don't know what they're. We had jobs. Now I'm telling you, all my boys that threw parties all over the country, they all had real good jobs. And that's how we were able to throw the party, because we had the money from the jobs that we had. But, bro, when it was come 2 o'clock, bro, we was out because we had to be up at 7 in the morning to go work.
Oh, man. Hey, the moral of the story is, before the HBCU alumni, before you buy a bottle, send a check to your alma mater. You know what I mean? That's what we get. Before you buy a bottle, send a check to your alma mater. That rhymes somehow. I don't know how it rhymes, but it works. But hey, Coach Cole, I want to thank you for joining us, man. We had Chuck Hunt on the call, on the call with us, man. But I'm glad that you were able to join us. I told him that you were helping out a friend, and that's just the kind of guy you are. Is that you're always going to be in position to help a friend when you can.
Hey, Coach Cole, how are you doing?
Oh man, I'm wonderful. How you guys doing? Y'all talking about the old times, boy. I'll tell you what. And one thing we did put on too, Coach Cam, we put some clothes on.
Oh man, we were dead sharp, Coach.
You know,
dead sharp.
The slacks, the shirt. You know, we always came looking church ready.
Couldn't get no club with no tennis shoes, Coach. You couldn't get in. Had to have the hard bottoms on.
No. Yes, sir. You had to. You know what I mean? And I look, I miss it. And we danced when we got there. We didn't huddle up over somebody.
They tell me.
Hunching. We danced.
Hey, they tell me all the dance floors are gone in the clubs now. I haven't been
they're all gone.
30 years. But they say the dance floors are gone.
Yeah.
They're all gone.
Look, we was out in Atlanta at Florida Deal and walked to the club, and every area was a bottle service area. Wasn't no dance floor. It was the bar, and then it was, Coach, it was crazy. Look, what we do, Camel, we ordered that chicken and ate at the bar and went home.
And went home. Listen, okay, guys. As Scotty said, I got to do a story time. So I have a friend of mine named Teddy Gilmore, big FAMU alumnus. Teddy was one of the biggest promoters in the country. So Teddy still knows these young promoters, right? So Teddy calls me and said, hey, Steve, we're going over to this club in Atlanta. So Coach Cole is with me. So me and Coach said we're going to go there. So we go into this club. We are clearly 30 years older than everybody in this club. 30 years older than everybody in this club. And the only people that are dressed are the people that are with Teddy and us from FAMU, because Teddy's an alpha, so it's a bunch. Shout out to the alphas. So all his frat brothers that are all 50 years old and above. So we sit down. So the little young guy, you know, Teddy had mentored him, right? So the little young guy like, man, we're going to give you a spot, right? So we thinking we're going to sit there because we're going to play it out. We just going to sit and not do nothing. He moved us to another spot. Now, Teddy got these little young girls that clearly just turned like 22 years old, right? So here we go. We're sitting there, and the guy was like, oh, yeah, y'all got to buy bottles. Me and Coach Cole like, buy a bottle for who?
Hey, I jumped up real quick and went to the restaurant.
Coach jumped up there and got to that bar, and we ordered some chicken. And I said, Teddy, you're going to have to handle this because I'm not about to sit there and buy no 3 bottles for no $1,200 for some girls that are younger than my daughter.
He just met that night. He just met that.
Just met him. I said, bro, I am way too old for that. I invest money. I don't waste money. So let me tell you, so when I say we were the old men in the club rocking, we were the old men. But we were dead sharp, though, because like he said, we were sharp. We were dead sharp. But yeah, the club ain't for us no more. The club ain't no for us. We ain't buying no bottles. We ain't buying no bottles, bro. It was crazy in there.
Oh man! Hey, well, thank you, Chuck, for giving us a call, man. We're gonna get back to recapping the games, and we're gonna preview the ones.
With you all.
All right, thank you, brother.
Okay, you all take care. All right.
All right, Coach Cole. We were wrapping up Alcorn and Valley. Anything you like to say about this game before we go over to Alabama State and Bethune-Cookman?
Man, you know, that's right. Well, Alcorn State and Valley, you know, Valley of the Mississippi Delta. And, you know, Mississippi Valley is still trying to dig out of that hole. Alcorn. That was one of those games you got to rev up. Alcorn lost last week, a big one. They came back strong. So, good victory. Whenever you can beat your rival in your state, man, it's big victory, no matter how terrible they are.
Yeah. Here's the next one we're gonna go with. Now, this was your dark horse, Mr. Campbell. You thought Bethune-Cookman had something, and to be honest with you, you guys thought that Alabama State, they had Alabama State on the ropes. They had them in Daytona with a 4-string quarterback. Y'all thought they were outmanned, outgunned.
Hey man, that dark horse, that's a dead horse. That is that ain't no dark horse no more. That's a dead horse. Coach, I'm gonna let you go first because I've got a lot to say about this game right here. I'm gonna let you go first if you don't mind.
Well, Bethune-Cookman, man, the coach is trying. He's losing a bunch of close games. He really should have lost to Clark last week. Of course, Division I, Division II.
He did lose.
Yeah, he does. He lost, and he's still on his honeymoon kind of. This is his second year, and he's playing some close games, and that's all you need to be. Sometimes close going into that third year. So, I take my hat. I give him a feather because we chose Alabama State, even though they've lost their quarterback. That we thought Alabama State was one of the better football teams this
year. Okay. Would you go ahead, Coach Campbell?
Well, here's the thing. I really did think that. I thought this was, again, way Bethune's schedule was set up. They had Alabama State coming to them. They had Jackson State coming from homecoming. I really thought there was going to be an upgrade on the talent. I think the problem is the execution. I have seen situations in situational football that Bethune could, because one thing I'm not a coach. And I know we have a lot of coaches, so I'm never going to disrespect any coach. But what I will question as a fan is the situational football that I watched during this game. That puzzled me. And when you're looking at, because Coach, and we got a great question people are going to ask. We're going to have to circle back to the Prairie View Grambling game because that was a great question. But this is what I don't understand. You've got a freshman quarterback, and I'm going to go to the stats because this is going to make something. Zach Tim goes 8 for 12, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. Alabama State rushes for 308 yards, led by James Holzclaw, 15 carries, 120 yards. AJ Gates, 9 carries, 74 yards. Daquan Kinsey, 12 carries, 71 yards. If you know that you've got a freshman quarterback, that guy's going to have to throw for 400 yards to beat me. Because there's no way I'm letting you run the ball. I feel confident enough, I've seen enough that this kid, again, does not know the offense well enough. They're not going to open up the playbook. I'm telling those corners, you know what? We're going man to man. We're going to lose this game based on what you got to do. Because the other 9 of us are going to be in the box. The other 9 of us are going to be in the box because that guy is not going to run the ball. And to me, I just do not understand when you got a limited quarterback like they had, and for them to then turn around and allow them to win that game. And again, once again, situational football, Bethune-Cookman, this lost the game literally. Bethune-Cookman has an excellent tight end, okay? Excellent tight end, a big kid. Okay, I think it's Omari Student. I think it's the kid's name, or Nance, one of the guys. The kid, the boot action with the tight end was open all game. You got a running quarterback, RPL boot action, tight end wide open. All you need is 3 yards. What do? They throw a Hail Mary pass that gets intercepted. Was ran back for a touchdown, but got called back. But they still ended up scoring, which was basically the spread of the game. What in situational football at 4th and 3, and you have the tight end has been dominant? Why would you try to run a Hail Mary pass play when you got a quarterback that can run the ball and all you need is 3 yards? And they did that 3 times in this game. I cannot understand it. I cannot. It makes no sense. When I saw that play call, it just hurt me because again, you have this tight end who they couldn't stop him. Boot action, let's go, first down, move the chains. And I just didn't get it. And like I said, it hurts me because I want to see Bethune. Like I said, my daughter went down to Bethune. I have an affinity for the school. You know, they're in Florida. Like I said, we brought them to the SWAC with us. But to lose these last 2 weeks, really, again, I don't know. I think the warning bells are going to go off down there in Bethune-Cookman.
Well, let me say this, Coach Campbell, is that when you got a freshman quarterback, right? I agree with you. But when you go down early to that freshman quarterback, even if it's just just down by 6, you're not going to be able to force them to pass the ball. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're going to continue to run it until you can get up on them. And unfortunately, Bethune-Cookman went into the fourth quarter, I believe, down 23 to 7. And with that situation, you weren't going to get them to run the football. Like, they weren't going to. They weren't going to throw the football.
But they didn't press the action early in the game. That's my point. To make him uncomfortable. It wasn't, not to say Alabama State does not have a good offensive line, but my point of it is, if I know that's what they've got to do, then I'm going to say this again. I am blitzing this guy. I am run blitzing. You are not going to run this ball. Again, if you beat me man on man and whoop me like that, then it is what it is. But I'm just sorry. I just think there's just a game plan. Again, if they got whooped at the line of scrimmage, I think, Alabama, they did start dominating the line of scrimmage. But I'm sorry. Like I said, it's going to be 9 people in that box. I'm stopping that run. Stopping that run. That's just me. I can't. No way.
Yeah, that was I just took a peek at the stats. And one team, Alabama State, had 22 first downs. 22, that's a whole bunch. Bethune-Cookman had 18. But here's the crazy part about it. They were 8 for 14 on third down. So what was that saying? They were staying in front of the sticks. And what I mean by the sticks is their first play was successful. Everything you said, Coach Campbell, is correct. Everything you said going into this game, if they beat us, it ain't gonna be by running. If they throw the big play, we'll lose that way. But we're not gonna lose the game the way we supposed to win the game. Meaning they don't have a quarterback. He's not familiar with the whole total offense. He's not a big throwing guy. They had Alabama State ain't thrown over 15 passes, Coach, per game in the last 3 games. So you're right. I can't speak positive for the coach. And again, the other part of it is they turned the ball over. I didn't get to see the game, but I anticipated that they turned the ball over on their side of the field, meaning giving Alabama State a short field. And they did it early. Yeah, that's a tough one on Bethune-Cookman. I thought that they would be much, much better. They fall in each week. You look at score 26-21, but that wasn't really the score.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't.
They had that going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Well,
Coach, we can move on to the next game, which is what I would consider the best team in HBCU football at this point. But if I had to rank them, I would rank FAMU above them because FAMU is a defending champion. So I know there's a contradiction there, but I think NCCU is the best team right now in HBCU football. They travel to Norfolk State and dominate them 37-10. Norfolk couldn't pass the ball, and they ran it okay. But at the end of the day, North Carolina Central got up on them early, and it really nullified their running game, neutralized their running game by being up early, and they were just behind the 8 ball the entire game. And when you look at one stat, Coach, when a team is 2 for 12 in third down conversion, what does that mean?
That means they turning the ball over and giving the other team chances and opportunities to score, without a doubt. The reason why they keep scores to determine who wins the game and who loses the game. All that other stuff in between, how we run the ball and we were successful. Man, damn all that. You know what I mean? The only thing counts is what we're looking at right now. and how you go about it. And you got to do whatever you need to do to win this football game. I've won some ugly games, you know, and I feel good about it. And that's the way you kind of gotta be. You gotta do what sometimes it takes to get out your comfort zone. That's why I think offensively, I never want to be stagnated of saying I'm an option guy or I'm a spread guy or I'm a this guy. You know, I'm a everything. I'm a get the job done winning guy, and I'm gonna do what my players can do and what they can do well. So, you know, those moral victories, that's for those first year coaches. When you've been there for a while, Campbell, it's time to win some football games.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, Coach Campbell, you got anything to say on this?
Yeah, just want to kind of point out some of the stats. You know, Walker Harris, hey, kid was impressive. 19-25, 245 yards, 4 touchdown passes. Rushing, Jamon Taylor, 11 carries, 86 yards, 1 TD. Arthur Rogers, hey, averaged 10 yards a carry, 7 carries, 74 yards rushing. You know what I mean? So, again, you had Markel Quick, 5 receptions, 124 yards, 25-yard average, 2 TDs. Again, Queen Dave followed it up with 3 catches, 40 yards, 13-yard kick. So, again, North Carolina Central, as they say, looking like the best team in the HBCUs. Again, handle business in the Circle City Classic, one of those flagship classics that they're trying to bring back and rejuvenate and things like that. And Norfolk State, and I guess I'm going to have to do some research on it. If we got everybody in Norfolk State, I thought their preseason all-conference quarterback was supposed to be back by now because I thought he was supposed to play. He was suspended for 4 games. So why are they still going with Jalen Daniels, who, again, once again, did not throw over 100 yards, 12 or 25, 85 yards passing. And, again, rushing overall. They did run 29 carries, and this team rushing 29 carries, 159 yards. Norfolk State, once again, just could not get it done. Central dominated this game overall. And like I say, once again, we're going to see as this now we get into conference play with Norfolk State, you know, where their fortunes lie and what they're going to do going forward.
Sounds good, Coach.
Yeah. All right, Coach. We had 2 big games in the SWAC this week. This is one of them right here.
Time out, Coach. Time out. Coach K, see, he gonna put a big damn screen. You know, the big screen, just one game. You know.
Coach, this is a big game. Hey, man, we had a team that was, you know, have won that game in the SWAC. You know what I mean? Played Lamar, Strong, Jackson State Tigers. You know.
You're absolutely right, Coach. But he had to put the big screen. He couldn't put them over in the goddamn corner. But look.
Come on, Coach. We know we got a lot of Tigers watching the game. Man, that man's smart. He know how them views. He know Jackson State bring them views along with FAMU. That's smart, man. You got to put that in the big screen.
You know, hey, Coach Cole, I don't know how much of this game you got to watch. I got to watch quite a bit of it. And while I was up in the press box, Coach, the thing that I saw in this game is I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, Coach. Jackson State did whatever the hell they wanted to do in this game. When they tried to pass, they could pass. When they tried to run, they could run. And then TSU wasn't able to do very much, Coach. So did I expect Jackson State to dominate the game? I absolutely did, Coach. I think Jackson State is one hell of a team. I just think, you know, they beat themselves down in the hole. But I still think they're a really good team. What did you think, Mr. Campbell? And then we'll let the coach give his analysis.
Well, here's the thing. I expect this game to play out exactly what it is. They have a saying over there on 14, I'll say JSU by 40, and they damn near did it. And one of the things that we all talked about is, again, not to say that he won't go back to McCoy, have him playing, but Jacobian Morgan is the quarterback for this team. There's no doubt about it. He keeps the team on schedule. He can make plays with his feet, make plays with his arms. He went 13 to 22, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also carried the ball, 10 carries, 96 yards for 2 touchdowns. Had a long run of 72 yards, was just amazing, and everything. And again, on the Texas Southern side, they had a kid, Chase Wilson, that was preseason, second team preseason, all conference quarterback, and he doesn't play. And he sticks with Jordan Davis, who only goes for 13 to 25, 115 yards, 1 TD, and 1 interception. Now, he is on the shorter side like Daniel Richardson, but I'm sorry, he cannot throw the ball like Daniel Richardson. And this was just a struggle for Texas Southern. It looked like what he was. He really looked like a high school quarterback. And it didn't, again, it just, to me, when you see that the kid just could not find the passing lanes, why wouldn't you bring Chase Wilson, who actually had a good game against Jackson State last year? Why wouldn't you give him an opportunity to play? That's one of those things I know that Scotty was trying to talk to, and I called a couple of people down there to really get an answer of why he didn't play. And again, we know Coach said, hey, there's competition and things like that. But this is one of those games that, again, you like I said, the half was on 13-0. Game hadn't gotten away from it. So again, there was opportunities there, but I think that Jackson State, again, Travis Terrell just was electric in this game. Herb Mulligan played well. I think Jackson State, again, I think they wanted to make a statement. I think that Grambling loss stung their pride a lot because they were riding a high horse and it stung their pride. But I think Jackson State is focused and they understand that this was a conference game. They got to, because you can't slip up on games like this. You can't slip up on games like this. So Jackson State, like I told everybody, was going to handle that business. They don't lose games like to teams like this. And so I'm not shocked by the score. They just don't. They usually win this game historically, and they won it big, and I'm not shocked. And they go down to Mobile with a lot of momentum.
Boy, you two handling Texas Southern like y'all pimp, just slapping them all over the damn place. But hey, what you guys are saying is true, man. I mean, I got a chance to watch the game and kind of focus a little bit, and got off and would come back on. And I hear the Jace Wilson thing and some issues on that with Jace Wilson and the team as a whole. Whether he can lead the team or not. Coach Chris. I told you guys I like the maturity of his staff. You could see it in his team. He's got to get some more players down there. I'm glad to see T.C. Taylor come back. And if you notice, Coach, they've been averaging about 400-some yards a game. They just slipped up against Grambling with 5 turnovers. Could then turn around and watch Grambling last week against Prairie. It wasn't very impressive at all, especially in the second half. It wasn't impressive at all. So it was like you said, man. I mean, they just got after them real good, and it wasn't, no contest at all. Texas Southern, their pass protection broke down as well. And then they didn't make no adjustments to see where it was coming from. So the coaches got to do a better job of that. I think the kids are playing hard, and it's like you said, Coach. Jackson State came in there trying to make up from last week. I think Coach Taylor had them all focused. They didn't get caught up in coming out of the country and coming to the city. I take my hat off to Jackson State. They did a great job, and they did what they're supposed to. And that's take a team like that and really beat them and let them know that Jackson State is gonna make it real tough over there in the East.
Yeah, Coach. Well, hey, this was the big game. This is the game that I had the pleasure of being at, and it was a quite entertaining game. But like I said earlier, to sit down and watch the game, it was a real grind as a fan in the stadium. Like it was a grind. This game was really. It seems like both teams were playing uphill at one point. I also can say this: at halftime, the Grambling faithful, the G-men faithful, thought they had this was it in the bag. They were dancing and drinking plenty Jack Daniels and having a good time, Coach. Like they didn't even think this was going to be a game anymore. And by the time we were walking out the stadium together after overtime, the Grambling fans were shocked, Coach. They were literally in shock by what had transpired in the second half. I can't even say they were even complaining about the result. They were in shock. They were shocked. But Coach McDowell made an adjustment. made a change at quarterbacks that looks like gave the team a spark. And for whatever reason, Coach, Grambling just decided they wasn't going to run the ball with a 10-point lead in the second half. And for that reason, I think they ended up on the short end of the stick, to be quite honest with you. What do you think, Coach?
It's something about Coach Dooley in the second half of some of these football games, and we've seen enough to say I don't know if he gets conservative. I don't know that he has to make some adjustments. I don't know, but I know that game shouldn't have ended up like that, and they're gonna have to really look at that. I mean, you don't get 3 yards in overtime. You can't make 3 yards. You can't come up with a 3-yard play 3 times in a row. I just they got more experience than that. Coach Joseph got to do a better job of getting those kids prepared. You know, when you're losing games like that and you're falling off in the second half, he's got to see what's going on. You know, whether his bench ain't focused on the game and keeping things in, or at halftime you don't make adjustments because the game wasn't that far out. I mean, they were only down 2 possessions. You know, so they'll have to do a better. They don't throw a monkey wrench in this whole thing. I know we'll get in and talk about the monkey wrench, and I'll let Coach Campbell kind of make his thoughts of the game.
Well, Coach, we had a Prairie View alumnus on Lionel, big PV guy, and he had a question for you, Coach. So on the coach's call, with Coach Bubba McDowell, SWAC coach's call, he spoke about at halftime that he went to his coaches and said, "You guys are not playing the right guys. I want you to start playing these guys." Coach, we wanted to. That shocked me as a layperson when he said that. So, Coach, how does that come into play? Because as you know, you hear the term CEO coach. So, kind of walk us through. You know, a coach like yourself that was a play caller that had his hands and everything, compared to what looks like Bubba McDowell is a CEO type coach, Coach Prime CEO type coach. How does that work? Where you entrust your OCDC and I guess position staff to dictate who's playing in the game?
Well, the only 2 people besides yourself has the right to put a person in and take a person out is your coordinators or the head football coach. When, as a head coach, you let your coaches run everything and your assistants, you'll be in trouble. I had a talk with Coach McDowell, and you know, we had a real good talk at the press conference on Monday, and you can't do that. You know, you learn that as a head coach. The head coach got to make sure that you're playing the best players. And sometimes when you don't reinforce that, it happens. I tell you guys all the time, it's an egotistical business. It's an egotistical business. And it's all the way down. If you don't let people know who's damn in charge, you know, again, you know, always use Nick Saban, you know, L.C. Cole, Pete Richardson, Broadway. These guys coach the coaches. That's the job of the head coach, is to coach the coaches. If he got to coach a kid, then he don't need you in that position. And I think Coach McDowell grew up as a head coach. I think he finally gets it as a head coach. Because, you know, he had no head coaching experience. All he's ever been is a position coach. And that's your job as a head coach, to play the best 11 football coaches, players that you have on offense, the best 11 on defense. And if he hasn't been doing that, maybe that's been the issue. Maybe that's been the problem. And maybe you will see a turnaround. And it's tough, guys. Now, That if you don't play your best player, you might not have him next year. You know what I'm saying? Because if your best player is not playing, and the other thing about this, guys, is at this level, very seldom do you have two deep, good players on 11 spots, on offense and 11 spots on defense. It's very seldom. You know, it's one of the things that I didn't have my players give me a report on the guy. You know, grade your players. Because, hell, if I one defense end is getting it done and he play a bad game, Coach Kevin, you think he ain't going to start the next week? Because the guy behind him is so bad that he's starting. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a lot of, especially at this work level, I think that's a lot of busy work. You as a coach got to get everything out of those good players that you can, and that's what happened. I think, Coach, if that's what happened, I think he grew up as a head football coach.
So Coach, can now because you've been a position coach as well, Coach.
Yes.
Can let me think about how I want to say this. Can a position coach and a head coach have a different philosophy as it relates to who is the better player? Meaning that as a position coach, I think this type of guy is a better player. You as a head coach, you may have a different opinion about what's the better player. Does that happen a lot, or in those situations, who win out?
Well, it should be the head football coach. And I've had some rounds with some assistant coaches about what I want. And at the end of the day, it's what the damn head coach wants. And if the head coach ain't strong enough or he feels that he want to make his assistant coach happy, then let him go ahead. The thing about that is the head coach gonna get his pink slip before the assistant does. No, the assistant coach is a damn assistant coach. You do what I say do, and you play who I say play. Now I'm gonna give you an opportunity that we'll sit in and we'll have a personnel meeting. Every Monday, we'll have a personnel meeting. Or when Prairie come in, we'll have personnel meetings. We'll have a depth chart on the board. But I'll be damned as a coach, as a head coach, that you sit in that office and you know that this guy is playing the wrong guy. That ain't happening.
Coach, me and you had extensive conversations, and you told me a story. We will keep the player names out of it, right? And the coaches' names out of it. But you remember telling me explaining to me a situation where you had one heck of a wide receiver. And the wide receiver was having trouble getting the plays or learning the concepts or whatever. Right. And the assistant coach actually wanted to play another player. And you told him, if you can't teach him to play, then you need to go.
Well,
so
yeah.
Explain your mindset in that, coach.
Well, because I believe, and being a teacher myself, that people learn differently. Meaning you can tell a kid what to do. A kid can see it on the film or on the film on video, or a kid needs reps. But if he has talent, he needs to get out there. If it's you got to say, okay, I'm gonna put a rock in your right side, and when I say rock, to run a goal. If I put a piece of wood on your left side and I say out, you run out. I don't give a damn what you do, but we're gonna put the best 11 football players on the field because I believe in winning. I don't believe you can't have feelings in this business because it's an egotistical business. You know what I'm saying? You can't promise kids something and they get there and they not the player that they supposed to. You got to be careful on all that. I always think about Nick Saban as a prime example, coach. And they got the athletes there. But Nick don't care. Whoever Nick bring in as a coach, this is what we're going to play on defense. We're going to be a cover 2 defense. And I'll let you go on offense, but whatever you go, you better have some run game involved. And then everything else is just like it under me. You're going to cut your hair. You're going to shave. When we travel, you ain't going to wear footies. You're gonna have a collar shirt on. You're gonna go to team events, and I don't give a damn who you are. You could be the quarterback, but everybody is gonna do. You gotta have everybody on the same page. And I've had coaches that have went behind my back and well, that's coach's rules. But I didn't have them for long. I had to let them go, because I believe that everybody got to be on the same page. Everybody. If we say ain't no earrings in here, that's it. We say all white socks, that's it. And you have some coaches, man. You have some assistant coaches, man, that will argue at a head coach. But that will only happen one time with me. And I had a coach, and I tell you a story. We were at Mississippi Valley, and we found the kid that was in the room. He was in the room doing some things that he shouldn't have done. And so I said, look, we're not going to play that kid this year. So we get to the game, and he was in there with a trainer. And I said, the trainer ain't going to be able to participate nor the player. So we got to there, and I'm sitting on the bus because I'm thinking in my mind, this is a big-time player for us. And we're making our run towards the championship, Coach Campbell. And I'm thinking, man, there's no way I can't let this happen because I could lose my team. When I get back to the university, I got to answer to the athletic director and all that kind of stuff. I said he can't play. So the coach comes off the field and he said, man, you don't want to win the championship. I said, man, I don't care about winning no championship. But ain't no one player gonna dictate what we're gonna do if he can't play, period. So I go back on the field. They meet up as a staff, one part of my team that I don't want to give it away. And they come out. I meet them halfway. And I'm like, what the hell? We out on the field. I'm the only one who could call meetings and keep it. And we bump shoulders and all that kind of stuff. And I put his ass off the field right then and there. We had the guard there, and I told the guard, either you put him off or I'm gonna call the president and get you out of here as well. And I ended up putting that coach up in the stand. We went on to win 30-0, and I had to deal with the coach coming back. But I also had to I ain't gonna say swallow my pride, but I also had to think once we got back, talking with the AD, talking with the president about, I had to make a decision. And I knew that my kids wanted to play for this guy. You know what I mean? Even though I was great sending him off, I thought it was important that I take my pride out of it and let the coach continue to coach because the kids wanted to play for Noel, and we went on to win the SWAC championship. So those some things that a head coach goes through. But I'll tell any head coach, that's why they call you head coach. That's why they pay you the money. You got to be in control of your football team. If you're not, man, it's going to cause some confusion. And those are the same coaches, and I'm sorry it talks so long, those are the same coaches that leave that office and tell people how you're not in control of that football team.
Absolutely. Now, this is the last thing I want to, it's kind of related to. He said, let's be straight. EA says, let's be straight up. A lot of coaches just don't like players. No matter how good he is, will try to run him off or discourage him. What is that something that happens, Coach?
Yeah, most definitely. You got some coaches that need the players they coach to pat them on the back and make them feel good. Some coaches don't like a quiet guy. We had this kid named Tyrone Butterfield, coach at Tennessee State, had transferred to us at Michigan State. And he was just a slow-moving guy, but he was a 4-3, 4-2 guy. He's one of the top players in the country. He was a quarterback coming out of Miami-Dade County. And he went to Michigan, and he transferred to her. And the strength coach we was in our personnel meeting, and the strength coach is telling us how he don't get in there and lift weights, how he's not a leader. Well, that ain't the kind of kid he is, coach. And he said, man, I don't think he's a guy that we want on our football team. And of course, my brother was a head coach. I had to use brother, call mama, everything. I had to put my hand up and say, let me tell you something, coach. I'd rather you get out of here than he get out of here. I said, is he on time at the weight room? Yeah. I said, does he break any team rules? Yeah. I said, yeah, he don't talk. He's quiet. Coach, Get out of his personal. You just did. If he lift weights, if you don't lift the weights you want, that's okay. I said, this guy's a 1,000-yard receiver. He's a 10 touchdown receiver. And guess what? He's the #1 wide receiver in Tennessee State's history right now. I think he caught 76 passes for 1,100 yards or something like that. Yeah, coaches do get involved with personnel, with personal vendettas with players. I've coached some players that I just did not like, but I promise you that I never, if that mother could line up and go by team rules, he was gonna play. He was gonna play, and you get a lot of that. You get a lot of that. You get a lot of coaches that get into personal issues with kids because he won't listen to you or what. As long as he's not breaking team rules and doing what he's supposed to do and be where he's supposed to be, I could deal with any kid. But if a kid is disrespectful to the program, then yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go.
All right, Coach, we're going to try to get through these picks in 15 minutes, Coach. We're going to say 11 minutes because we've been here almost 2 hours. See, Coach, we doing overtime. You just getting warmed up, Coach. All right. So we got some pretty easy ones, and then we got some ones that are a little more difficult. So Tennessee State and Linwood, who you got, Coach?
Tennessee State. Linwood is the most losing program there, and Tennessee State next to them. So I'm gonna give Tennessee State the win.
All right, Lincoln, PA, and Morgan State, Coach.
Hey, you got one of them old helmets for Florida A&M, Camel. You bring a big extra large for Coach Rocky, and I got mine from TSU. We'll beat Lincoln and Pennsylvania. Yeah, they the armpit of black college football. Any Lincoln team in black college football right now, they ain't no good. So if they say Lincoln, they lost.
What about this one? We got Coach Rhode Island and Hampton. That ought to be a good one.
Man, one of my best friends, man, he's a Rhode Island guy, man. He always talking all that Rhode Island. I got Hampton over Rhode Island.
I'm gonna take Hampton too. Who you got, Cam?
I'm going to take Hampton on this one.
All right. Hey, another battle of whites against the blacks. All right. So we got North Carolina A&T against Richmond. Now they said they beat the blacks, but they haven't been doing a good job of it here recently. And so what do you think they're gonna do against the whites?
Man, A&T stinks, man. They stink, Coach. They stink. They don't got rid of Coach Washington. They don't jump up in this league. They're not financially ready. Richmond big.
Okay. All right.
The Spiders.
I agree. So, all right, on this one right here, we got St. Francis against Delaware State. I think Delaware State gets in the win column this time, Coach. I think Delaware State wins.
Not against St. Francis, Coach. Not against St. Francis. We're gonna give them. They did a good job last week. They surprised a lot of people. I don't have them beat St. Francis.
What about you, Coach Campbell?
I think I'm gonna go with St. Francis. I'm with Coach. They play in the NEC. I think St. Francis is not a great team, but I think Delaware State. Again, I'm not sold on. I think Delaware State losing a close one.
All right, South Carolina State. They're playing another PWI, a team that really, by all accounts, barely beat Tennessee State. How do you think South Carolina will fare, Coach?
I like Chennis Berry because Chennis Berry is a heck of a football coach. Tennessee Tech is a good football team. I've faced Tennessee Tech several occasions, man. But I'm gonna go with Chennis Berry close because he can run the ball and they play great defense in South Carolina State. And they are disciplined and they're gonna have better athletes. South Carolina State.
What about you, Coach Campbell?
Both of these teams are 2-2. Again, friend of the show, Chennis Berry. I'm just gonna say this game is in Tennessee. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. Again, this game was at home. I think South Carolina State wins this game. But again, I think Tennessee State wins in the close. Tennessee Tech.
All I'm gonna take South Carolina. I'm gonna be with Coach on this one. I'm gonna take South Carolina. All right, I'll pick this one. North Carolina Central and Campbell. I really think North Carolina Central is a really good team. I think Trey Oliver is a hell of a coach. And if you let Delaware State score 41 on you, I think Trey Oliver gonna score 60. So I'm gonna take North Carolina Central on this.
Man, I know head coach over there, Coach David over at Campbell. Man, I got Trey Oliver big. North Carolina Central beat them by 2 touchdowns. Ain't no way you could lose to Delaware State. Evidently, his talent don't fell off over there.
They didn't lose to Delaware State. They didn't lose, but Delaware State did score 41 on them.
Oh, they beat Delaware 46-41?
44-41.
41. Yes. You still can't play that close to Delaware State.
What about you, Coach? Coach Campbell?
Listen, man. Listen, I had to buy a new Escalade because the man said he was going to get the rim stolen off my old one. So, anytime a man threatened me, I got to be wary of him. So, I'm going to North Carolina Central, man. I think this is a game. And this is a great thing about North. Over the last 3 years, these are games that they win. They have been the standard bearer of beating PWI, FCS squads. So, again, I think that the beat doesn't stop here. I think Campbell is not as good a team as them. I think they beat them 2 touchdowns.
Now, this is an interesting game for Prairie View A&M in the middle of the SWAC C schedule. They're 1-2. They play in Corner Word.
What made it interesting? Besides, they shouldn't be playing them.
Well, I mean, it gives, they've made a quarterback change, Coach. And this is a game where they could get the quarterback some experience, find out what he can do. And to be honest with you, they can experiment a little bit, and it may not cost them very much. So,
But
I think they're going to lose the game against Incarnate Word, to be honest with you. So I got Incarnate Word. Who do you have, Coach?
Yeah, they're going to get somebody hurt. Incarnate Word is a good football program. You know what I mean? It's going to be Incarnate Word big. They got a good football program down there in San Antonio.
Incarnate Word, same conference with Lamar, McNeese. They've traditionally played Prairie View. Prairie View does not beat them. Prairie View is not going to beat them now.
Absolutely. All right. Virginia Lynchburg and Texas Southern. Did they buy them is it homecoming, Coach?
Yeah, it's homecoming, Coach. Lynchburg's coach, I guarantee you his coaching outfit, every time he go home, his wife goes, boy, we must have played for homecoming again because you smell like barbecue. Every game, Coach, they come out the gate playing homecoming. So every week they playing homecoming, Coach. So Texas Southern, a winner.
All right. Texas Southern wins. You got the same thing, Coach?
Easy, like I say, it's homecoming. Texas Southern gets back on it. All the women down there in Houston and Megan State, they're all going to be looking good down there this weekend.
All right. Nichols, State, and Southern. Now, I'll go ahead and pick this. Nichols State. Again, this is what I contend. I contend that Southern isn't a very good team. Even though they beat Prairie View, I don't think they're a very good team. I think they don't have a very effective quarterback. But we'll get a chance to see, won't we? They have Nichols State, which is a pretty decent team historically. And I think I'm going to take Nichols State real big. What about you, Coach Campbell?
Nichols State lost their last game. Sacramento State got beat, So my thing is, again, I look for them to, Southern just doesn't win these games. They just don't win these games. So I don't see anything change at Southern. Like I said, I think they've got problems on the offense. I think they've got a problem with the coaching trying to identify what this team is going to be. And I think they're going to have rough ones. So no, I think Nichols will beat Southern.
Well, Sacramento State, Coach, they alumni raised $38 million. And they
want to go D1, Coach.
Yeah,
they want to go D1.
Yeah. So they got their NIL going. So they got a couple folk down there. You know what I mean? When I was at Southern, man, and Texas Southern, we would go and play Nichols State. Do they play them in Baton Rouge or in down in Nichols, down in Thibodeau? Man, every time I went down to
No, they
Toledo,
haven't been home. Southern is at home.
They come to Southern. Come to Ace Mumford.
Yeah, and we were 9-0 playing Nicholls State when I was at Southern, and they were 0-9, and they actually came in and beat us because that day or during the day it was about 80 degrees, but by night the temperature had dropped down to like 40, 35. It was freezing, man, and they ended up beating us, putting us at 9-1. But Southern is too inconsistent.
Well, let me say this: Nicholls beat Mississippi Valley a couple weeks ago, 66-0. So how many? What you think they'll do to Southern?
Wow. Well, I'm gonna pick Nicholls State as well, Coach. Let's just say that. I think Southern is just too inconsistent right now, still trying to find itself.
All right, let me go next. All right, this is a big game. We got two big games, Coach. This is one of them. And the reason why this is a big game, this is a game that I believe that Connell Maynard can save his job if he wins this game, Coach. He's on the hot seat. Everybody realizes he's on the hot seat.
Well,
does he get it done, Coach?
I don't think so, and this is the reason why. TC Taylor has got them kids together. They could score points and they could score it in bundles. I think they're playing solid defense. I just think Alabama A&M and Coach Maynard, it just comes a time that it's just time. It's what they say, time up. They just play solid football. Nothing great, nothing, no shine. I just don't think right now Jackson State is hard to stop them on the offensive side of the ball. It's not like A&M is explosive on offense. I got Jackson State big.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead before Coach Campbell picks. I'm gonna go ahead and pick. I just think Jackson State is a superior team. As I said before, I expect big things from Jackson State moving forward. And this, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 40-7 game, And so I think Jackson State big. What about you, the man from Jackson?
Hey, I'm glad you said that because here's the thing. When I would travel from Jackson to Tallahassee, you would go through Mobile, and everybody knows you would take Highway 49, and then there used to be a little highway called 98, and it used to be called Bloody 98 because it was bad wreck. They would have these big logging 18-wheelers that would come, and people would fall off the side of the road. They actually finally made a 4-lane.
It goes all the way into Florida?
Well, yes.
Into Pensacola.
Yes, it takes you all the way to Pensacola.
Yeah.
So 98. So we used to call it Bloody 98. This is going to be a bloody game because JSU is going to bludgeon these guys. This is going to be a bloody game like Highway 98 as they used to call it. Because I'm going to tell you something, man. This is what I started this, and Jay White, who's a proud A&M alumnus, I told him that A&M was only going to win 2 SWAC games. This is one of them not going to win. Jackson State is going to start because really what was supposed to happen, we were supposed to beat them last week, and Jackson State was going to have the U-Haul ready for them this week. So the U-Haul gets delayed one more week. But no, Jackson State comes down there big, Mobile. JSU's going to show up. I mean, that's an easy ride, like I say, for them people from Jackson. And then all those South Mississippi Tigers, they're going to be over there in Mobile. They're going to party. Hopefully the weather holds up. I heard there might be rain coming again. But no, Jackson State, I think Alabama and them just don't know what they want to do with their team. And I think Jackson State beats them big.
All right. Next one is the big one. This is the big one. Unfortunately, it's not the game that we thought it was going to be. It's not the matchup because Alabama A&M is depleted at quarterback. But they've shown to have a formidable defense, right? Bethune-Cookman. They went to Bethune-Cookman on the road and beat a Bethune-Cookman team that, frankly, Coach Campbell had high hopes for, right? Now, right, they come in with their third-string quarterback, maybe even their fourth-string quarterback, against a FAMU team that's, in my opinion, that's poised to make a run at not only SWAC championship, but Celebration Bowl. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. I got FAMU, and I got FAMU 35-14, Coach.
Yeah, I think Coach Cozy them will coach this team to victory if they're having a bad day. They've rested, injuries. I think, them counseling the last week kind of helped them this week. I think they're biting at the bit, but they're playing a good ASU team. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I don't think that Florida A&M, knowing that they down to the fourth team or 13 quarterback, that they're gonna play them like the team played them last week. I think they're gonna try to take away the run, and even though now we know that Florida A&M has been having problems with the run, if Florida A&M have problems with the run, I still think that Coach Cozy and his staff will coach him through this victory. I'm more 28-7. Alabama State is very good on the defense side of the ball, unless they get some picks. Florida A&M get some picks or some, or get some turnovers. So yeah, I got Florida A&M about 28-7.
All right. Do we even have to ask you?
Well, yes, you got to ask because it's me. The thing I'm gonna say what's most interesting about this rivalry that goes back is that this record between the teams are 20-20-2. I think this is the only school, other than maybe Jackson State, that we do not have the head-to-head against.
Tennessee State.
And Tennessee State. There you go. The only two. So it was shocking to me. And I say that because the 20-20-2 kind of talks about how this series has gone since we've been in the SWAC. Tough, close games, defensive oriented, and winning it basically at the end. So we had how ASU preseason, really preseason SWAC champions, preseason East champions. They lost two of their quarterbacks, and now they're down to their fourth quarterback, who is a freshman starter. FAMU, I heard that, hey, we haven't played in a month. We haven't played well, but let me just say this. I would dare say South Carolina State, if they win the SWAC, would be the third best team in the SWAC based on how they're playing. So we play South Carolina State, we beat them. Norfolk State is better than any D2 team that anybody's played. We beat them. We drove the ball on Miami. We didn't score touchdowns, but we drove the ball on Miami. We drove the ball on Troy. So what I see is that this team is ready for a breakout. And I think this was a blessing in disguise because I think, Coach, you know this, you can sometimes never have too much practice when you got a new team. And I think this extra practice, because I've always said this for our season, these two games was going to determine if we're going to be SWAC champions or not. We start right here. I think Coach Cozy understands. I think he watches Bethune, does not make the mistake, and makes that quarterback. If they're going to win this game, they're going to have to turn us over, and they're going to have to make plays in the air. I think the Rattlers will be able to stop that. I think they do not have an answer for Daniel Richardson. I think he's going to have a big game, and I think this is the game that the Rattlers break out. I've got the Rattlers 35-17 and ruining their homecoming because, again, and I know Alabama State, we got to play homecoming because we had the Magic City Classic and all that. Well, you still shouldn't have scheduled fam. You still should have changed the date because we're going to ruin your homecoming. 100%.
Well, let me ask you this here, Coach Cole, because this I think is a very important game, a very important question that I'm about to ask. Florida A&M is literally, when by the time they play this game, they wouldn't have not had a live snap against another team in 3 weeks. How do you think that will impact their performance coming in? Will they play like a team that's kind of played 3 games, tinkered with what they do best, or will they play like a team that has rust?
Most likely, they'll play like a team that have rust, and this is why. game time is way much faster than practice time. Uh, how long when they start the game that they put things together, it depends on preparation from the coaching staff. Again, we think Coach Cozy is A plus. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at two teams, I want to say this, and I'll ask both of you guys: if you put two teams up, which team got the best defense? Coach
If I had to,
Alabama State.
I'll say Alabama State.
Okay, so that's always a key to it. They're not explosive enough on offense. Like you said, Coach Daniel Richardson, just an average Daniel Richardson go get you an end zone. Don't let him be on fire. You know what I'm saying? They will be able to match Alabama A&M's, Florida A&M's receivers. They're gonna have to make sure that they keep the defense, Alabama's defense, on the field. I always say the best defense is when you keep the offense off the field. I think if you continue to give Daniel Richardson time, that timing on that offense will come, and I think they eventually move the ball. Not saying that I still think Florida A&M will win the football game. I don't think it's going to be a runaway because running the ball is eating up a lot of clock. And Florida A&M has had issues stopping the run. Even when they played South Carolina State, this is going to be another South Carolina State game for them. Don't sleep on Alabama State. But I think that Coach makes the adjustments. I think, like you say, Daniel Richardson will find his footing. And I got him 28-7 victory.
Mr. Campbell, let me ask you this here, Mr. Campbell. Are you concerned at all about the slow starts that FAMU has had really in 4 consecutive games, to be honest with you?
Well, we didn't start slow against Miami. We drove the ball down Miami the first drive. So I don't think with a second drive. I think with anything.
When it relates to points, like you drove the ball on Troy, but you weren't able to put up touchdowns, and that's kind of what I'm saying.
Well, I think, okay, now I understand your question. So here's what I think, and Coach Cole can speak to this because he's an offensive guy. I think Coach Henry is learning his team. I think Coach Henry is learning his plays, his comfort zone plays. And I think that comes with being in that position. I think because one of the things that I noticed even with the Troy game, we had a 4th and 3 and the play call that you would think that, watching Coach Simmons, hey, that's going to be something we're going to execute 4th and 3, no problem. We were notorious. We would go for 4th downs on our side of the field because we were so confident in the play that we called. I think Coach Henry is leaning into that. But I think what saves us in this game is that ASU is offensively challenged, which I think will allow our offense to get going. And I think once it gets going, I think this is the game that they're going to have a break. And this goes back to my point what Coach Cozy has talked about consistently on the coaches call about the team learning the plays, the team learning executing on offensive defense. And I think and also he said there are 5 guys that are coming back that have not played. So we're going to be healthy. So if Coach Coles has mentioned these 5 guys as difference makers, I believe him. So again, I think, starting off again, new quarterback, new system and things like that. I didn't think we were going to come out the gate scoring 40 a game. But I will say this also though, nobody has stopped us just 3 and out. We moved the ball, but to your point is then when it's time to make the next play, can we make the next play? Because we'll go 20-20. We've gone 20-20 on everybody. Nobody has just stopped us. That bodes well.
The last thing I want to mention is going into, when they started playing their money games, FAMU had a problem stopping the run. What have you seen, Coach Cole or Coach Campbell, that makes you confident that FAMU will stop the running game, or could Alabama State make hay in the running game the same way that Norfolk State and South Carolina State did.
Coach, I'll start. I'll start because I'll let you get it from a coach's perspective. Well, here's the thing. That's the concern. That's the Achilles heel of this team. The talent that we brought in that we felt that could replace all conference Anthony Dunn, all conference General Hunt, all conference Cheney. Those guys have not lived up to the press clippings as of right now. These are Power 5 guys, size, speed, weight. But the question is the football acumen. So what I'm hoping and what we're hoping to see is, are these guys ready to stand up? Because this is what it's going to come down to. Because if the talent plays, then FAMU has no problem. But if they don't, it's going to be a long game. But with that being said, we've got the better quarterback. And the better, like I say, while they can run the ball, because I'll tell you this, they could do we could play the same game against Bethune, like they could play the same game against Bethune, but FAMU would win that game because we could score. We could score. They still let Bethune-Cookman score 21 points, and they ran for 300 yards. So, again, we still can score. So, again, I'm looking for the defense to play better. Like I said, this is a game. Hey, we're going to find out. This game right here, you're going to find out what Florida A&M football is all about. Just to be honest with you. So, the first 4 games, first 2, last 2, money game. But this starts the SWAC season. And everybody knows this game in October 19th is going to determine who's going to be the SWAC champion. Point blank, period. So we'll know. We'll know what FAMU is about. So we got all those Jack State people. They want us to lose because they've been saying we have been average. They've been talking about what I'm going to keep saying, though. We have played a better schedule than everybody else also, though. So some of that might be maybe we play better teams compared to everybody else. So we'll see. Because I'm going to say this again. South Carolina State will beat every team in the SWAC other than Jack State and FAMU. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I just say that I don't think it's going to be just a big victory. I think Alabama State is good enough on defense to slow them down. Special teams will play a major role in this game. I'm just not going to hand all the flowers to Florida A&M because Alabama State has been great and good defensively for the last couple of years, and I think they're even better. And they got people in the secondary that can slow those big plays down. You know what I mean? So they ain't no slouch. But of course, the problem is can they keep Daniel Richardson off the football field? And when I'm saying keep him off the field, not necessarily he's gonna get some opportunities, but to make him drive the whole field. Florida A&M have struggled in the red zone. You know what I'm saying? So if you got to make them go long fields and don't turn the ball over, it's going to be a close game. And like I said, 28-7, 21-10, that's the way I see it. I don't see Florida A&M being the team of the past. Like you said, Coach Cameron, I think they still learning each other and getting their footing. But playing against Alabama State, which again, I can't say enough about their defense. Coach Eddie Robb, he's always kept things close to his vest. It really was a blessing for him because he don't like to see the ball up in the air anyway a lot. So I look forward to this game. It's going to be a good one. Ain't you guys going?
No, I'm not going, but Coach Campbell is.
You going to be in the house?
Hey, man, we're leaving out of here at Atlanta 8 a.m. in the morning.
I need you to
and Rocky, I'll be calling you to make sure you still see if my passes are ready to go.
I need you to go by there and holler at my boy. He got a little cigar bar right across the street from the stadium.
Yeah, we went last time.
Yeah. It's called Torch.
Yeah, remember we went last time.
His name is Reggie Miller. Look for Reggie Miller. Then I got many boys. I tell you to run by my house down there too. So if I would have thought about it, hell, I would have went. But yeah, it's gonna be a good game, Coach. It's gonna be nice and crowded, Coach. It's gonna be thick.
No, we ready.
When you get down there?
Saturday morning. We'll leave us. All of us will leave us Saturday morning.
Oh, okay. You just coming for the game. Then y'all leave.
Yeah, we just
gonna stay.
Wait a minute.
Y'all leaving or y'all gonna stay after the game?
Can you hear us, Coach?
Hold on. Can you guys hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you leaving?
Okay, sorry about that. Looks
Saturday
like my
night?
phone headset died.
You staying Saturday night?
Yeah, say that again, Coach.
You staying Saturday night?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on one second, guys.
You know them guys from Atlanta ain't staying in Montgomery all night.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah,
them guys got a 2-hour ride. They're going to go down there and try to get them a win and get on out of there.
Yeah.
The game kind of kicks off. Well, the game kicks off at 4:00. So, hold on. Let me see when the game kicks off.
At 4?
No, it's 2 in the afternoon, Coach.
I was going to say, yeah, it's 2:00.
The game kicks off at 2, so they got time to, have a good time in Mobile. Get the win.
Yeah, we're staying tonight. Yeah, we're staying. We got a hotel, so we're staying tonight, Coach. Yeah, because we're gonna party on their homecoming because we're winning. Like I said, and like they say, yeah, we're gonna go to the nest. We're gonna have the AD give me that bottle of liquor.
Okay.
And enjoy it. But no, like I said again, it's gonna be a tough game. This is gonna be a tough. You gotta respect Coach Robinson because even with the turnover at quarterback, the fact that we're at Coach Cole, which you are a coach, the fact that you can see opportunities there lets you know how he's kept this team tight. And again, I think Florida A&M, I think we got a good team. We don't have a great team. I don't think there's any great team in HBCU land this year. I think the top 5 teams could beat each other on a given day.
Well, let me say this. I think Florida A&M is a great team. I think South Carolina State is a great team. Of course, we know North Carolina Central, but it's just so many. I don't want since I'm a coach, I gotta be careful about what I say. It's some mediocre teams. It's just so many mediocre teams. You know what I mean? Guys are still playing 2 and 3 quarterbacks, and just So I think they where they want to be, Coach. Really.
Well, look, Coach, I'm gonna and let's keep it a buck for all my Jackson people. Y'all know what it is. FAMU knows what this is because the game needs. We can't lose this game because we got to have 2 weeks of trash talking for October 19, 2024. So the football guys are not gonna let FAMU mess that up. You see what I'm saying? They're not gonna let And to say the same thing with Jack State. That game against Grambling was not a conference game, so it didn't mess up anything. Because we got to have a winner-take-all game in my hometown on 10/29/24. Like I said, I'm bringing those Rattlers in from Atlanta. I'm so excited. They're ready to come.
10-19, ain't it?
10/19/24. So we're not going to mess this up, man. And one thing I will say about FAMU is since our reincarnation of getting back to what our standard is, we know how to win football games like this, to be honest with you.
Right.
We have players that understand these games. So the bottom line is this game will not be too big for our players because we've been in these games and we won these games. So like I say again, we're not going to mess this up because like I say, this thing needs to be Jack State and FAMU, and we don't need no outside interference.
Well, okay, so y'all have a pretty significant stretch coming ahead. Y'all got Jackson State, Southern
at home
coming up at home. Could it be possible that the guys could look ahead to Jackson State?
No, because no. I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Like I said, remember Alabama State was preseason number 1. Remember that. They said that this team is better than Jackson State and FAMU. Now, I think these guys understand the stakes of this game. I think from the very get-go, they understood that. I think we always understood these 2 games were going to determine our destiny to get to the Celebration Bowl. So no, I think those 2. I think to answer your question, I think those 2 games go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other.
And from a scheduling standpoint, even though you guys are on the road on both of them, it's worked out where you guys have essentially gotten a bye week before both games. So even if you come out of one of them banged up, if you had come out of the A&M game banged up. You had enough time to heal up and be ready for Alabama State. And then now you have that same time, which you guys expected, to heal up, lick your wounds, and be prepared for Jackson State after a 2-week rest. So the schedule sets up for you guys as well as you can to have 2 road games against what I would consider 2 of the top teams in the SWAC. You know, I don't think it can set up any better if you're going to play on the road.
And I'll tell you this, and guess what? Jackson State has a bye week too. They know what it is. They know what it is. See, listen, everybody knows what it is. They didn't put that bye week there. That bye week was there for a reason. That bye week is sitting in front of FAMU, and ours is sitting in front of Jackson State. So again, man, you gotta handle business. If you want to be a championship team, these are the type of games. And Coach Cole, you know this. You can't win a championship at home. You win a championship by winning on the road. Point blank, period. So you got to win the game on the road. And like I said, I just think Daniel Richard is just so much of a better quarterback. I think that is just a great equalizer.
Yeah, well, let me pivot for a minute, if I may. What we gonna do with the West? Or have y'all talked about that already? What we gonna do?
Not in that context.
What we gonna do over there, Coach? So,
Coach, listen.
Southern, hold on. Prairie View beats Grambling. Grambling beats Jackson State. Prairie View loses to what's going on, Coach?
Well, here's what I'll say about this, Coach. What's really great about this is that the next couple of weeks, you're going to see what every game is going to matter double. And what I mean by that is because Prairie View has to win out. So there's no margin of error for Prairie View.
Well, no, because Texas Southern ain't giving up on my boys, but they lost so bad. It look like they might not win another game. So after they lose, they're gonna lose 3 or 4. You see what I'm saying?
But Prairie View has already lost 2 already, though, Coach. That's the problem.
So Texas Southern gotta lose 3.
3. That's what I'm saying. So that buffer game, usually that's what I'm saying. The head-to-head even hurts even more because they're already down 2 games.
Hey,
already.
They're gonna lose 3. Texas Southern has to play FAMU as well. So
there you go.
That's another one built in.
So that's another one. But the bottom line, but it doesn't matter because if Prairie View only loses 3 and Texas Southern loses 3, guess what? Texas Southern has to head-to-head.
I get you. My point is, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've looked at the schedules on the West. If Grambling doesn't win the West, it's a daggone shame. Now I know that's and this is what I'm saying. You're set up in a game where, of course, you beat Jackson in a non-conference game, but you don't have to play Jackson State or FAMU in a conference game. Your cross matches are Alabama A&M and Bethune-Cookman. That's your cross matches. That's your cross matches. If you don't win the West with those cross matches, you may never win, Coach.
Wow. I after that loss, Grambling lost, and the way they lost, Coach, it wasn't. Did Prairie View play exceptional game? Did y'all?
No.
Man.
No, they played a horrible game. They should have lost that game, honestly, until Dooley realized that he went back to 1950 and ran the wing T instead of spreading those guys out and run the rub routes like everybody else does to win the game. And Coach Mickey Joseph talked about that also, about pass protection and things like that on the coach's call. So again, I was really just baffled by the wing T setup and the power run. I mean, Miles Carter's not that guy. You got to throw the ball in that situation both those times.
Well, what I was surprised at is he hadn't ran the ball the entire second half, especially when they had a 10-point lead. Like he was still trying to hit the big play.
Twice.
Huh?
He ran the ball twice in the second half.
Overtime. Yeah, in the overtimes. Yes, ran it.
Yeah.
Didn't throw it.
Man. Well, hey, so right now, Who's number one? Southern.
Southern as of right now.
Then
They play
Texas
FAMU
Southern.
in Jackson though, so you know it. Well, the Jackson game. Okay, let me say this: the Jackson game wasn't a conference game, so let's just
Correct.
throw that out.
But let me
But
ask
they
you.
do, but they
Go
do
ahead.
play FAMU.
Let me ask you this: who's dominating over there? Let's
Oh,
rank them.
nobody's dominating.
No, nobody.
Let's rank them. Can we rank them? You would say Grambling, right? Rocky?
Yeah, I would have to say Grambling is one.
I say Grambling because they playing one quarterback.
And then you would say Southern and Prairie View.
You think gonna give Texas Southern no credit, coach, for that win? Because they got beat so bad, got beaten so bad by Jackson State.
Whew.
Who do you think is better between Texas Southern and Grant? Who do you think is better between Texas Southern and Southern right now?
Whew.
Exactly.
And then Alcorn,
And Southern plays Texas Southern at Southern in 2 weeks. Well, next week. Huh?
Since Alcorn got blown out by McNeese and Southern had lost 21-7, Alcorn is still there.
They're still there?
So let me ask you guys this. When will we find out how good Southern is? Or how bad they are?
Well, I'm looking at Southern's schedule right now. Southern plays Nichols this week. They play Texas Southern next week. They play Alcorn the following week. They play FAMU. So you're going to find out in those 3 weeks between the 12th and the 26th what their conference record is going to be. Because they literally could go 0-3 or go 2-1.
Right.
They go 0-3, that's a wrap. So they still go ahead.
Well, let me ask you, how good do y'all think Texas Southern is? Rocky, you already said.
I don't think they're very good.
So you think the only games they got left that they can win is Pine Bluff and Mississippi Valley?
Texas Southern, they play Southern on the 12th. They play Grambling the 26th. They play FAMU the 11th. So again, 3-game stretch, same time. They could go 0-3 in that, and their season would be over. And Alcorn is behind that after FAMU.
Yeah. Texas Southern got the big boys coming through there the next couple of games.
So, Coach, I'm telling you, if Coach Joseph don't make it to the SWAC championship, and I'm gonna be honest with you, there's a scenario I see where Coach Joseph hosts the SWAC championship, but he slips up against Prairie View.
Let me say this, Coach. Let me say this. We giving him that big victory over Jackson State, right? But Jackson State had 5 turnovers.
Well, it doesn't matter. Even if it doesn't matter, it's a non-conference game, so it doesn't even matter.
No, what I'm saying is we're basing Grambling being the best West team off that win.
No. I'm basing it off of everybody being mediocre and them having the best schedule.
Quarterback. And the best quarterback.
Yeah, and the best quarterback.
What you talking about?
Miles Crowley is better than any has played better than any quarterback
in the West.
Any team in the West has played. Give me who's better than Miles Crowley in the West?
Not Noah Biden, not Wilson.
Every team has played 3 quarterbacks.
Not Johnson.
So we're giving him the nod because he's taking all the snaps.
Yes.
Numbers, Coach. His numbers are
What, Coach? You know what you're really doing? You're proving your own point. They're all mediocre.
I'm a quarterback man, and all I hear about was Crowley. Coach, he might not even throw for 1,500 yards this year. The way they're going.
What do you think Wilson's going to throw for? And Wilson from Texas Southern. What do you think Noah Bond is going to throw for? What do you think?
Playing?
Hey, Wilson.
I mean the other kid. The other kid. I'm sorry,
Davis.
Davis.
He on borrowed time. It's just a matter of fact.
So that's what I'm saying. You got quarterbacks in the West that can't even throw for over 100 yards.
Wow.
I'm gonna put it like this. Now y'all might think I'm being mean when I say this, but you could put Alcorn, Prairie View, Southern, and Prairie and Texas Southern's quarterback all in the bag and pull them out, and they all not gonna make a difference on how the teams are gonna play. There's not one game changer in that bag. You can transpose those quarterbacks. I'll say Miles Crawley is the best quarterback, right? Not only because he's taken the most reps, because he's had some, again, he had some good passes. He had some good throws. I don't think he was given a very good game plan in the second half. That's just my.
Let me give a shout out to my partner, them boys. Is Crawley a game? And absolutely not. No, I don't think in the whole SWAC you've got Dan Richardson, who's a game changer, and potentially Jacoby and Morgan to be a game changer. Every other quarterback, and Miles Crawley was preseason.
Crawley had an opportunity to show whether he was a game changer or not. That Prairie View game, quarterbacks, they know they'll put the team on their back and either make the throws or scramble out there. They'll make the team win. And I don't see that. I don't see that. I'm waiting on him to have a breakout game. He was picked player of the year and first team quarterback. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. And I think Mickey Jones is waiting on that too. But this also goes to the coach. Then I guess the question always goes to the being in sync with the offensive coordinator, which is Coach Dooley, and putting Miles Crawley in position to make the throws he could make.
I keep saying, Coach, that these offenses they're running and making the spread their offense. This spread is supposed to be wide open, right? Supposed to be throwing for all these yards and moving the ball up and down the field and zip jamming and all this bull crap. Either you don't know how to run it, or you're allowing these kids to make these mistakes, or you coaching it that way. And I don't know, do I supposed to say that, Coach Campbell? I'm happy.
Well, I think you're giving an honest assessment. I think we know coaches watch this show. I think, and I think they respect the honest assessment, because here's the thing: Coach Joseph got on the coaches call and literally said, "We got to do better. We got to do max protect. We got to get Miles Crawley throws that he's coming with." He literally said it on the coaches call. So that's not an unfair criticism when you're saying, "Hey, if a guy is being put out there as the player of the year, first team all SWAC quarterback, you expect him to make throws and to put his team on his back." See, we have to be able to live with expectations. See, I think sometimes what happens in life is that we run away from expectations. If Grambling wants to be the G and be a championship, I heard all that whole week after BJ say order is restored. Well, the way order is restored for Grambling is to win championships and to have dynamic quarterbacks, which they have had legacy going all the way back to James Shack Harris. Okay? So my thing is, if you're going to be that quarterback, you should not be afraid and understand that you are the quarterback at Grambling. That is, in HBCU football, that is a premier position. It comes with a lot of responsibility.
Can we pull up his best game? Has he thrown over 200 yards this game?
No, he has. He's thrown for over 300. He threw for over 200 last game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he had a decent game against Jackson State.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that, Coach. Look at that.
Let me
I know Jackson State had over 400, and I think Grambling had like 279 somewhere in there.
Let me see. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, we got it. Where's our stat guy? He off tonight?
Oh, we got it right here, Coach. Because we talked about this, because we went over the stats. What was that last week?
Yeah. Man, we need some sponsorship, man. The hard stat. so we can roll this thing out. You know, I'm television now. You know, they be feeding you all that information, Coach. Like,
They would say they give you everything you want, huh, Coach?
oh, Coach.
All right, here, I got the box score right here, and this is what we got right here. I have it right here, but I had to pull it up ready to go. Now, against Prairie View, Miles Crawler went 29 for 48, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which those interceptions was game changing. So that was what he did. So again, almost threw for 300 yards. Game for that one, which I think I had pulled up the Jack State game, which was week 4. And this was the one you were referencing. Again, this is what Jack State really just blew him out the water offensively. Miles Crawler went 16 for 28, 167 yards, 1 touchdown.
That's what I'm talking about. You know,
but they did play with a lot of short field, though, Coach, in that game because of turnovers.
That's true. That's true.
So they did play a lot of a short field. So the point of it is, again, he's not throwing for 80 yards that we have quarterbacks in this conference doing. Okay? I literally just ran off at least 3 quarterbacks that only threw for 110 yards or less. Alcorn's quarterback, Texas Southern's quarterback, Valley's quarterback. You know what I mean? Guys are just, so again, he's the best of what they have. And to your point, can he win these games? Grambling, to Rocky's point, should be in every game to the end of the year because of Miles Crawley.
Okay. That's fair.
Should be in every game to the end of the year because of Miles Crawley.
That's fair.
Now again, against Tuskegee, and to Coach's point, and let's talk about it for a moment, just to say, to Coach's point, the only game that he's really performed as a passer is against Tuskegee. He had 166 against, losing, the Raging Cajuns. He had 125 against Texas A&M Commerce. And he had 167 against Jackson State. So he did have, more yardage against Prairie View, but he had those turnovers. So
we'll see. It's just too much quarterback going on, and this quarterback get in, and shit, they moving quarterbacks around like damn tailback, running back.
Coach, Grambling has a stretch, and I just want you to think about this, Coach. In October, they have a stretch where they play Alcorn, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Texas Southern, and Bethune-Cookman. If they come out of that 3-1, in my opinion, they still end up leading the SWAC.
Right.
That would make them 3-2. If they come out of that stretch 3-1 because of everybody else's schedule, right?
Right.
I think if they end up with that stretch, 3-1, they end up still leading the SWAC with 2 games left, or at least tied for the lead in the SWAC. Because in that same stretch, do you think Alcorn is going to go through that 4-game stretch against Arkansas Pine Bluff, Grambling, Southern, Alabama State? Do you think they're going to go, 3-1 in that stretch?
I doubt that. The way they're going, all of them going to take a loss.
Southern in that 4-game stretch. We could take a look at Southern in that same 4-game stretch. In that 4-game stretch, they're going to have Texas Southern, Alcorn, Florida A&M, and Alabama A&M. Now, again, that's an interesting situation. Oh, and Bethune-Cookman. The schedule sets up pretty nice for Southern, too, now. I'm not going to even lie to you guys. If they could get by Alcorn, they're going to lose to Florida A&M. But Alabama A&M, Bethune-Cookman, and Arkansas Pine Bluff are all winnable games.
Hey, that Alcorn game, once again, looms so large for Southern's whole season.
Yeah.
Once again. And that game is met. And that's what's great about that. That Alcorn Southern game, again, goes back to playing, like I say, for SWAC championships recently. That Southern Alcorn game can determine what they're going to be about.
Again, I think we're going to end up having a repeat of the 22 season when on the last weekend, how many teams had a chance to go to SWAC championship? It was Alabama A&M, Texas Southern. No, it was Texas Southern, Prairie View, and someone else.
Alcorn.
And Alcorn, and they all lost.
Wow.
And they all lost. And then Southern ended up going by default because they beat Grambling by a stroke of luck in the Bayou Classic. I think that's, like I say, I just think I just think it's going to be one of those kind of years, man.
I was all right. This is what I wanted to see, Coach. The SWAC, the statistics, leaders. All right. You got Jackson State averaging 33 points a game, Grambling 31, Pine Bluff 29. And then have they won a game? Southern 23, A&M 23. Last place team is Mississippi Valley, average 12. Texas Southern average 16 points a game. Florida A&M is averaging 16. How many games is that from Florida A&M?
4.
Yeah, they only have 4 games. Yeah.
Hey, we got a caller, guys. 6660. You're live on HBCU Coach's Corner with Johnny Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
Benjamin, Texas.
Oh, you got to speak up, Benjamin. Go ahead, sir.
So, Benjamin, first of all, I want to come with some humble pie. Excuse me. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, so first of all, I want to come with some humble pie, Mr. Campbell and Coach. I didn't disappear, but I want to come with some humble pie. All right. So anyway, putting that to the side, Mr. Campbell, since I see you got your giggles on. Coach, I have a question for you. It looks like a lot of the coaches are not having good experiences with their offensive coordinator. So I'm only talking about PV. Even though we lost, I'm going to still represent Prairie. What is it from a coaching standpoint do you think Coach Bubba should do to kind of corral the offense to fit the personnel on the team? That's one question I have
for you. They one of the things that you should do as an offensive coordinator is scout yourself. So I would have a coach on my staff would actually scout us. And he would do it every 3 games, so we wouldn't get stale. And right now, from the start of the season to now, they should be having meetings on what we doing. If we're not reaching the numbers that we should be reaching. You always should know who's your playmaker. Who's the wide receiver from Prairie View? What's his name?
Savage. Shamar Savage.
I've watched games where he don't even get thrown at. If that kid is not touching that ball, or we ain't got out of 75 plays, if we ain't throwing at him or having him involved at least 15 to 20 plays, we ain't winning and we ain't scoring. I always say the business is an egotistical business, and sometimes, us as coaches, we get our ego and our pride together.
Correct.
And when you find a staff or coaches that's either blaming it on refereeing or the players and never said it itself, then you got a losing program. Because that's our job as coaches and as coordinators is to score points and to find ways that we can help the program win football games. So if you're not scouting yourself and you're not understanding, certain plays are good against certain fronts. What do I mean by fronts? There's going to be a guy that's either going to be on the 2-eye, and defenses always line up in gap, 2-eye, and sometimes they do line up head up, but they either going to slant to the strength or they going to slant away. So going into the game, you got to know that. All right, I'm on this hash. All right. They got a shade of 3, 5, and 5. So I know what they gonna do. So we gotta run certain plays. You can run to the 3 technique. Certain plays you can run to the shade. Give you an example. If I got a shade player, I want to run outside. Okay, that means that it's gonna be a shade and a 5. So it's gonna be hard for that shade to run the play down. But if I run the outside zone to the 3 technique, which is sitting outside the guard, I'm either going to have a tackle come down, and the game is about angles. Okay,
Right.
So if you don't know that and you don't understand that, and you're just calling plays, you're not going to get result. And then you hear some coaches say, "Oh well, a good back, won't let one tackle." Yeah, that's true, but that's when he gets going. But if he can't ever get through the line of scrimmage, you know what I mean? You can't use that analogy. So
And the reason I asked that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. If I'm gonna ask you a question, but go ahead.
Yeah, and the reason I was asking that question, but I don't want to give Coach Campbell too much bulletin board material because we still got some tough games coming ahead. But in talking to your friend Michael Prince, we discussed on the show that it doesn't look like Coach Bubba or the offensive coordinator are putting the right players on the field at the right time. Like you said, there's no way in the world that Savage can be the player that he is, and he's sitting on the bench unless he's sick or constipated or something. He should be on the field at all times.
I thought he was on the field.
There's no way that you can have this big back and you're not putting him on the field. I'm thinking like, in order for us to win, are we not putting our best players on the field at the right time?
Well, you definitely got to do that, man, because of Division I AA football. It ain't like you got 24 2-deep guys that can get it done. You know what I mean?
Correct. So in discussing that, you don't want to be blasting the coaches and stuff on the show. And no. I definitely don't want Coach Campbell trying to take no bulletin board material coming up. But I do think in order for us to perform well, we need to have our best players on the field defensively and offensively. And so I know y'all were talking about quarterbacks and so forth. I didn't go to the game, but from what I saw, if you put pressure on Gramblin's quarterback, he's not producing like the way y'all talk about. Compared to when you look at, and I'm not saying the young man from Prairie is better or not, but I will say Coach Campbell.
You mean like the young men?
He looks a little more composed when given the opportunity, but you have to put even him in the right predicament. And so, Coach Cole, I will say this. I did throw out there that some emails might need to be sent. Now, I don't know if you are open, but I did suggest that some emails need to be sent if we keep on losing to certain teams. So I'll just leave it at that and sit back and listen.
Well, as a and being a coordinator too it's about rhythm. You know what I mean? You know how you've been be somewhere, Campbell and Rocky, and you just don't, you're like, man, I ain't smooth, because I've been here, done that. And sometimes in games, coordinators get that. And a lot of times it's because they run up against a better team sometimes. And so you got to be able to make those adjustments. You got to be able to use the players that you have. Every time I watch players, I love the name Savage. I think he got a hell of a name for a wide receiver. I just don't even catch no passes. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, damn, are they gonna get the ball to this kid or what?
Well, Coach, Blue put up something very interesting. His PVR ready to fire Anthony Wheaton. I don't think they're ready to fire him, but I think when you look at their offensive production up to this point, there's some struggles, and who's responsible, Coach?
Man, look,
Who's responsible for putting up points, Coach?
offense, coach. Offense, without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to turn this into a, me bashing and I'm not. But we here to talk about football and stuff like that. You got to get it done, coach. You know what I mean? You got to go in there. You got to score when you need to score. You got to be able to control the ball when you need to control the ball. You know, and that's just the way I see it, coach. That's just the way I see it.
Well, look, Coach, let me piggyback on something because Blue makes the point, and he says that they're talking about talking about fire Anthony Wheat. But I'm going to say this, and this is not a bash. This is a quote. Bubba McDowell said he went in halftime and told his coaches, "We need to play X amount of players.
We need to play the right guys.
Right guys." He said that. We didn't say that. He said that on the coach's call. So the question then becomes, is the question that's being asked, what is the OC and the position people seeing that then Coach McDowell said, wait a minute, I'm monitoring this game. We're about to let this game get out of hand. And I'm just saying, not to say Savage didn't play because he did play. But again, I've heard from PV people that there's some issues going on with that. And he's looking and say, hey, if this guy, even if he doesn't know all the plays, he needs to be out there. If this guy doesn't know all the plays, he needs to be out there. So again, Coach McDowell said that. We didn't say that. So when you say that, that again, and I give him credit. I give him credit that as a head, like you said, he grew up, Coach. You said it. He had the honest assessment that this is not working.
Mm-hmm.
So
and he made the adjustment.
So, Coach, is it a situation where just say I'm a coach and I got a player that doesn't know all the plays? Can I just put him in for the plays that he knows?
It depends on what type of athlete he is. If he can get it done, then yeah. But at this point, he's got to know what he's got to know what he's got to know, to get it done. And what happens is we so close, we're right in the middle. Meaning, that's why to me you got to go with a starter and you got to, you got to get in there with him and ride with him. I just don't think it's so much. It's so much parity. I got two great guys. Man, damn that. One of them is better than the other, and one of them is close to what you want in a quarterback. You see what I'm saying? And you just got to go with it. I just don't think being a quarterback myself and knowing one of them don't know the plays better than the other. One of them might have a great arm. Coach, when I played, I'm a life experience when I played as a quarterback. I sat behind two guys. One was 6'4" and one was 6'2". One had an arm to throw. He could throw it a country mile. The other one was a 4'5" guy. He can run. But they didn't know the playbook. But they played them because they were bigger than me. I wasn't ready to play my freshman year or my sophomore year. But my junior year, my third year, I was ready to play. But I was smaller than they were. I wasn't the pitcher. But I knew all the plays. I could make some of the throws, most of the throws. And I didn't play, coach. But I went on Camel my next year and broke every school record. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't because of all of a sudden I knew back then, you know what I mean? I got coached. So I never told myself that I'm only gonna play a guy because he looks like the part. No, he's gotta be the part. He's gotta do everything from A to Z. You gotta know the plays, you gotta know the fronts, you gotta know the coverages. I just, I don't care about all that stuff around you. I play, can you get it done? I don't care how you look, short, fat, tall. If you can get it done, you can play. And you should be playing. And if you're not, I don't care if you know what I tell my team, coach? I tell my team, I said, I'm not here to like nobody in this room. And nobody in this room here to like me. And how we gonna like each other is that I can count on you and you can count on me. I don't care as long as you come in that room and you be into meetings and all that. I don't get into all that personality stuff. The only thing counts is winning. And there's some kids that didn't like me, and I knew that. And guess what? I didn't like their ass. But they made sure that they were at team meetings and stuff like that and done what we asked them to do, man, and we were fine. But you know what brought us together? Championship. That's what brought us together. Winning.
Hey, Coach, and on that note, I don't have anything else. Do you got anything else, Mr. Campbell?
No, I think, I do have something. I want to say, to everybody that is watching the show, many of you are watching all the different shows. I just appreciate you all supporting us. I mean, many of the names, I've seen Zoe and them boys and Lionel and Seth Bass and Paris and Blue. Like I say, we call him Blue. I'm going to call him Blue. All these different people, Crook over there causing havoc over on your channel, Rocky. Israel Carey was in. I just want to tell all you all, we really appreciate you watching this show. Because this is what, as they say, a labor of love. We the old heads, you know what I'm saying? The young folks got their stuff, you know what I'm saying? All the rest of the shows are the millennials. They ain't got their insurance hasn't dropped. They didn't see football past 2000, so they don't know anything past 2000. That's what tickles me. I watch Josh and those guys, and so they don't know 20 years of football. You know what I mean? And Scotty and Perry and stuff like that. I heard Perry talk about, damn, you was down, and I guess Perry doesn't realize that we've won championships back. But I understand that. So I appreciate you all taking the time watching us old heads, to talk about football and understand we do have a SWAC championship coach that is able to give you some insight that no other show can give. So I just want to all my young nieces and nephews, I really want to thank you all for just being here.
All right, Coach. It's time for you to take us out of here, Coach.
Man, it's good, boy. I want to say something about Johnny Thornton, or did y'all say something? North Carolina Central took your word, Coach Campbell, when they beat North Carolina State 66-6, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And so what they did was, and they
66-24, I think.
Yeah, they took your athletic director's deal. So they got together and did a 66 fundraiser. And they started calling around. And before the game was over the next day, they had raised $53,000. But then they came back. Some of the alumni had those programs at their job where they match.
Yeah.
So they pulled some of that money out, gave it to some of those alumni. They put it in their jobs deal, and the job came back and matched that money. At the end of that week, Coach, they had made $83,000. So Johnny Thornton, North Carolina A&T man.
No, wait a minute. See, you about to get shot too. North Carolina Central. See? Now you gonna get your rims stolen off your car too, messing around with the boys up in North Carolina and not get these names right.
Hey, and I want to say too that Coach Trey Oliver helped lead the way, man, with his own money. They raised $83,000, man, within a week, and it was called 66 donate $66, and they raised that 83. So hats off to North Carolina Central.
There you go.
And they didn't even have to fire a coach. They didn't even have to let a coach go to raise that money. You know what I mean?
And let me say something to all the HBCU alumni out there. Find out many of your jobs have that employee match.
Right.
Make sure that you investigate. Hey, if you work for them white folks, get something out of them. So please investigate if you work for a company that does that match, because that's a lot of money that can be. Like I said, I learned about this a long time ago. Many of my classmates have done this for years at FAMU. Many of my classmates have went to their companies because they saw other schools that didn't look like us have those matches. Said we want our school at it. So if your company's not doing it and they have that program, make sure your school is a part of that program.
That's right. So I want my hats off to North Carolina Central fundraiser, Trey Oliver, Johnny Thornton, And those guys, man, they raised that right after one game, coach. You know, one game that was real big.
You know, last week we had the Brandley, the newly hired. She hadn't even started yet, so I can't even say that. She started her first day is what, October 7th?
7th,
Yeah.
next Monday.
Next Monday. She was on the show, and we encourage people from FAMU or whatever, whoever, to go over and to the Rattler Foundation and donate $19, $1,900, $19.99, $19.19, whatever.
Yeah.
Have you got any feedback from her as to was there any people that I know I went over there and
well,
donated?
absolutely. She got a lot of feedback. And matter of fact, shout out to Kenya Sykes. She's not on tonight, but she helped kick that 1919 campaign off. So I know it is rolling, and I know it's going to even be bigger because, like I say, I know it was going to be talked about at the home game, but, you know, of course, it got canceled. So, again, anything that we can do, like I say, shout out to Angela Suggs, my new AD. Like I said, we got our back, and like I said, we're going to get that 1919 initiative rolling.
Hey, man, I'm glad y'all at the raffle ticket business, man.
Hey, man, listen, we ain't selling no raffle tickets around here, brother.
All right, Coach Cole, take us out, man.
Hey, man, guys, look, we got this. Hey, voting is getting very serious, very, very serious. You see a lot of people are boycotting and going on. Please read. Please look at television. Please know what's going on. If you're middle class, as I say, there's 10% of America are rich. 80% is middle class, whether it's upper middle class, or lower middle class. 10% is struggling in poverty, man. You better vote for somebody on what class you're in, you know. But make sure you find out information. Don't take stuff and run with it about these candidates. Listen to the candidates, know what they're talking about, because this voting deal, guys, is very, very serious. Very, very serious. And it can definitely affect all of us. Okay. So make sure. Guys, I had a great weekend. I had a chance to commentate on the HBCU Go. Please tune in. You can go to HBCU Go, any app place, and get the app for free. It's free streaming. It's from Byron Allen. Byron Allen is an African American guy that owns this show. He used to be a part of BET. He owns the Weather Channel. He's a billionaire, and he's decided to put his money behind African Americans to put on HBCU Go. It's more than just football. It's about life. It's more than basketball or sports, I should say. It's about life. So everybody should go get that app. It says HBCU Go or the Griot, and get into that. Again, guys, man, life is beautiful. Things are going well for me and my family. I hope the same for you as well. And like I said, nothing can be as bad as just getting up in the morning. You can get up in the morning, you can do it one more time. But if things are hard on you, hey, remember, if you feel yourself at the end of the road, just tie a knot and hold on tight. Because at the end of the day, ain't nobody